you believe it? This is just absolutely insane.
Head into the mystery of the African wilderness live right here on WildEarth.
There she goes. She's coming right towards us.
From the wilds of the Greater Kruger to the majestic dunes of the Kalahari.
Live, this is happening right now.
This is one of the big safari specials on any reserve.
Tune in to meet our captivating animal characters and talk to the experts in real time, only on WildEarth. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jumbo. A very good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this safari this afternoon from the Masai Mara. We have some zebra already in front of us. All I can tell you to start with is welcome to your afternoon, a live safari. Well, welcome once again to this afternoon safari here in the Masai Mara, East Africa. This afternoon we have the stripies over here. Looks like 4 stallions. I don't know what they are fighting for. They're all by themselves within that area. The temperature today in the Masai Mara is around 27 degrees Celsius. Quite nice. Looks like we might not have some rain this afternoon. Remember to talk to us, #WildEarth. You can send in your kids question at WildEarth TV, also at FC. Questions and comments are really welcome. Yes, my name is Isaac, and on camera I have Bungei. We are already here at the plains of Kichwa Tembo. My search today is I'm in search of lions and maybe some elephants, but to start with, of course, I cannot drive just past them, but I have a beautiful, dazzle of a zebra over here, and looks like 2 stallions are trying to find out who is more dominant. This is something they do every time. They need to assert dominance and to have their own mares. These fights are very vicious. Sometimes they look like they just play, but zebras are equipped with carnassial teeth for fighting, and they can rip off each other's skin. Sometimes also they can kick each other quite hard. Usually they'll try to bite the front legs, especially just above the ankles, and that is to disable one another. Also they do go for the neck quite a lot, as you can see. Sasi Kasi, Jumbo, thank you for your beautiful comment. A spectacular day with stripies. Yes, it's a very beautiful afternoon. Yeah, looks like it might get serious. Usually, a stallion will try and take over others, another one's, mares. Sometimes, if he succeeds, he will take them. But usually, the fight can go on for even half an hour. And if one wins, then he might take them. Most of the cases that I've ever seen, nobody has ever won. Looks like this is what they're fighting for over here. Or is it all males? Yeah, looks like most of them are males, so it's a small bachelor group. This is the bachelor zebra, or the common zebra, a very common zebra here in East Africa, all the way to Southern Africa. Rosalina Jumbo, you ask if zebras can bite? Yes, they can bite. They have canines equipped for fighting. I don't know if you did see them. Very much like a horse. They're almost a centimeter and a half, and those ones can inflict serious injury, and that's what they use. I have seen them use them, when they've been caught by a crocodile in the river. I have seen a zebra bite a crocodile. Usually the crocodile releases it very quickly. I have seen them use them, biting a lion. But yes, they do have them, and they can inflict serious injury. Here, most of these zebras are migratory ones. So in the next few months, we might not have as many. We usually have quite a good number. And zebras, breed year-round, feeding mostly on grass. They are not ruminants. They are hind-gut fermenters, so their food goes through their tummy. It takes a few days, and usually it is very well digested. Well, I'm going to move on, and while I do that, let's take you to another live safari vehicle.
Welcome to a very hot and windy andBeyond Phinda. We were driving down one of the main roads on the reserve on our way to some open grasslands, and we found a female cheetah and her 2 youngsters. She's just looking around all around and looking for something to hunt. My name is Djuma, and welcome to andBeyond Phinda, and behind the camera we've got Gerrit, and we are going to be happily sitting here and waiting for these cheetahs to hunt. They have been actually hunting throughout the whole morning. We were following them this morning, and she was very, very active. It's the same female cheetah that I think Damon had on an impala carcass a couple of days ago. And she has left the carcass, and within those 2 days or so, the 24 hours, they've digested the food, and she was very, very active this morning. You can see the youngsters are lying flat, sleeping right next to her, but she just licking her lips. But she's been sitting up, constantly looking around her, keeping an eye out for any potential prey. There's a bit of a yawn. So she might roll around a little bit or reposition herself. Since we've gotten here, she's just been lying in the same spot there. See how she was licking her lips off again, so I think she might be aiming to yawn again, almost like she's getting ready to yawn again. Just keep an eye on her. So she is looking out for something to potentially hunt. It's very hot, but also with this wind blowing around her, she really has to rely on her eyes' sight. Tori, you're asking how far a cheetah can hear. Oh, that's quite a difficult question, because I think it would be quite difficult to measure how far they can hear something. It depends on how loud it is and so on. But their hearing is definitely much better than ours. But Tori, like this wind is blowing towards her, she might be smelling and hearing everything that the wind is carrying, so it might take away from her sense of smell and hearing, and that's why, one of the reasons why she's bobbing her head around like that, and rather keeping an eye out. She's falling asleep a little bit. See how she's just turning, looking at any movement that's around her. But for now, I think we might stick with these cheetahs for just a little bit and see what she gets up to. Otherwise, we might keep a move on.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Masai Mara. We have elephants who are grazing slowly and peacefully. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Big James. It's a very nice afternoon, about 26 degrees, which is a good weather, but it looks like it's about to rain. So these elephants are enjoying their last bit before it rains. Look at that tiny calf there. I haven't seen this herd for a while. I recognize this herd because of that matriarch. See, one left tusk is half, while the other one is bit straight, long. So that tells you how to ID elephants. The easiest way to identify, when you look on the side, just look at the shape of the tusk, the shape of the ear pattern. Sometimes they're torn from how they walk into the bushes. And that's really how you tell an elephant. So that means that this elephant uses her left tusk quite often. So like humans, where we have right-handed, left-handed, so this elephant must be left tusk. The young calf is trying to keep up. And when that at this age, they don't have the coordination with their trunks, so they actually don't know how to use it well, so they sometimes have difficulty when it comes to feeding. See that small calf there, trying to use his trunk. They learn from watching the rest of the members in the group, how they pluck the grass, how they pick branches, everything, how they coordinate their trunks. But at this age, he's not yet able to use his trunk, so from about 2.5, 3, they'll be able to use their trunks fully. Today there's not as many in the marshes because it rained last night, and at some point it rained in the afternoon. So there's adequate water around the grass plains, and also the grass is at least moist and wet. So I'm going to keep watching these elephants as I take you over to another live location.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to a swelteringly hot andBeyond in Ngala for your Sunday afternoon safari. As you can see here, we've got the 2 lions that we had earlier this morning. You can see they found themselves a little patch of shade and are just passed out in it. And that's the same thing, Odie and myself, Sean. That's what we are doing this afternoon. We are just relaxing in this little piece of shade here. Odie behind the camera there, looking actually quite comfortable. He's got this big hat on, so he's very shaded, very nice. But that's what a lot of the animals are going to be doing now at the moment. Yes, yeah, I think now it's about 36, 38 degrees Celsius. I think it's like low hundreds in Fahrenheit. And you'll find, look around here, there's just not much. You know, even the impalas, the wildebeest, the zebras, everyone's just trying to relax, wait another hour or 2 before we see any sort of activity out in the open. I mean, she looks like she is fast asleep there. You can see her breathing, actually quite a steady breathing going on there. Nothing, no panting, her mouth is closed, tongue's inside, she's not breathing too deeply. And you can see there's a nice breeze blowing on the grass. So she's probably quite cool there in the shade with the wind, not feeling too bad. So we'll sit here for a few more minutes. I don't think, as I said, they're going to do anything. So we're going to head to maybe some water holes, see if we can get some animals coming down, having a drink. Most likely things like the elephants, maybe some buffaloes, giraffe coming down, having a drink, having a splash, warthogs. We're going to go find ourselves a water hole, camp out there for a little bit, see what's happening, and then come back down here towards these 2 lions a little bit later, because they should be looking to join up with the rest of the pride. So we'll come back and have a look just before the end of the drive.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve here in Lowveld, Mpumalanga. Today, our temperatures 96 Fahrenheit, 36 degrees. And now looking at these beautiful impalas. As my name is Andrew, on the camera this afternoon, I have thereon. As you can see, his thumbs up. So this is how we're going to be leading you into a safari trek around for the animal. So we come to this very beautiful place where there's impalas gathering around, but reminded me of where they lost this morning Princess Talamba, not far from here. So it's always very important just to check what these animals are about, what they do and what their reactions. Sometimes it happens. Leopards sometimes also hunt daylight like this. Understand actually it's the temperature rise too much. They should be lying down, but they will surprise you and get up and hunting as long as there's a food source around them. And that's what they do. But then, this is where we're going to be spending time checking around for that, our Princess Talamba in this area. And right now we're on, it's called Sandy Patch Road, Sandy Patch North right now. And she's been left or lost into that block on the eastern side of here. We're going to also check the northern boundary, see if she crossed north. Otherwise, once we find her track, this is how we're going to find her. But they so peaceful, this impalas. Was one individual that was give alarm call, but only once. So I didn't hear any more on a sound. So it means that it was nothing too serious about that. As they work together, there's a chance where they're now in the bush. If there's a leopard around here, leopard will be on our position, but heading their way, as the wind is blowing from slightly north, from the north, slightly west inside, towards us. So there's a chance if it's a leopard around here trying to hunt, they will hunt from our positions. They see how they're now going to get out of that, because I don't think they trust it so much. As you can see, they're trying to run around. It's always so important for this type of animal to be well alert, also trying to save their lives. So everyone will be just trying to drive a few roads here. And yeah, we're just gonna let me take you to another safari life while we're searching for that Talamba.
So this female cheetah was yawning quite a bit earlier. See how she's licking her lips again? And she keeps on bobbing her head around like she's spotting something. But she's been yawning quite frequently, and she was even grooming a little bit. A flick of the tail chasing something away, some insect away from her there. Oh, one of the youngsters also sitting up, maybe spotted some movement or so. So I think if we are patient, we might see her get up. So all that yawning there, I don't know if you've ever heard of how cats, in particular cheetah as well. So this female, she was yawning like that to try and oxygenate her blood and her brain. So getting ready to get up. See the bit of grooming there, often before a bit of a stretch or so. Still looking around and panting, even though she's lying in the shade there. It's a very, very hot day. Umesh, you are asking how you differentiate between cheetah and leopard. So the size of the... Oh, look at that. See, rolling around, just like I was saying earlier. So, Umesh, just to get back to your question. So, with leopard, they're quite short compared to cheetah and a lot more stocky, very thick legs. But the thing that I can point out to you that we can see nicely with this female, she's spotted something now. If you look closely at her, she's got spots on her where a leopard might have spots around its face. Uh-oh. She's just getting up, getting a little bit excited about something she's seen there. But a leopard will have, on the middle of the body, will have rosettes, so a black ring with a little bit of brown inside, where she's got spots all over. And, of course, if you look at this female's face, can you see the stripes, those tear marks that they talk about, that she's got on her face? A leopard does not have that. Hopefully there's a leopard that's been found today, maybe on a different reserve or somewhere else, and then we'll be able to see the difference. So she, maybe some movement of some animals find the distance that caught her eye, and immediately she sat up to keep an eye on what the movement was. But you can see the the young male cub right next to her had a bit of a fright and jumped up. Really concentrating on what she saw there. So with the hot weather that we've got and the sun shining like this, those tear marks on her face is becoming so important and helping her to spot things far away. So I don't know if you've ever heard of how those black tear marks is actually absorbing this glare of the sun and helping her to see further. Kumi, you're asking if there's any prey that can outrun a cheetah. I think short distance in a straight line, she is the fastest land mammal that there is, but she can only keep her run going at full speed for a couple of seconds or so, and other prey species can run a little bit slower but keep it on going for much longer, and they'll try and zigzag and try and sidestep this female as much as they can, and if they can keep away from her for long enough, she'll run out of breath and overheat very quickly, and they'll be able to get away from her. So just to answer your question, in a straight sprint, definitely not, but I think if they can get away from her for long enough, they'll be able to outrun her. So how she's panting, and look at those ears, the attention of where she's looking. So she looked over her shoulder just for a moment to see if she can maybe see something behind her, keeping an eye out for other predators, but she's definitely interested in something on the hillsides. Oh, here she goes. Oh, a bit of a stretch. Look at that. And the youngsters immediately following her. But I think they are going to go into quite a dense area, so we're going to try and stick with them and see if we can keep an eye on them while they move through the thicket. Maybe we'll come back to you later with her.
Well, there's no doubt the cheetah is the king of speed. The wildebeest stands somewhere. They do run at around 60 kilometers an hour, but very short bursts, so they are not as fast. Well, here I've come across another very dense, small herd of wildebeest. As you can tell, they are really moving. I don't know if they're going to continue. They just stopped. As I said, that looks the majority of them are males. Weight-wise, the wildebeest weighs about 130 and above, almost 200 kilos. And it's got a gestation period of around 7 months, 7-8. It usually gives birth almost every year. So it's an animal that is always multiplying every year. And they live for about 20 years, 18 to 20. So if a female is lucky, she might leave about 20 young ones. But of course, they do have to grow up to around 3 to start breeding. So, by the time they die, if all of them are successful, it might leave about 16, 17. I doubt it. I always say about 10, because the mortality rate is very high, especially in the first few days. When migrating, they normally don't concentrate on where they're going. They just lift their heads, graze, and move on, which sometimes makes them really vulnerable, because in such a long grass, leopards and lions can take full advantage of them not paying attention. This is the white-bearded gnu you're looking at, one of the highly most populated animal in East and Central Africa. Serial Jumbo, did you ask if the large number of wildebeest increase the number of lions in the Mara? If I got you right, was that the question? Well, they play a very big role. They play a very big role because when they're here for those 3 months, for certain groups of lions, especially like the nomadic ones. So those are the ones that have been chased out or they become outcasts for a short period, have enough food and they don't have to struggle. You know, lactating mothers, lionesses, if the wildebeest come, well, they are guaranteed that the young ones will have milk for about 3-4 months non-stop because there's always food somewhere. Also, for the old lions, you know, they're also guaranteed they will have food, so there's always food somewhere. So yes, it does help a lot. If they would stay, I think we would have an explosion of a lion population because everything would be easy. They won't have to go out of the reserve to where it's human, you know, habitated, where sometimes by mistake they get, you know, speared, they get poisoned. So they'll stay around and the population will go up. Wildebeest senses are all very good, hearing, sight and smell. And at night they usually use smell because sight is not as good. But during the day they have amazing eyesight. Where we are, there is a very tall grass, and this is what usually brings them to Kenya, where they stay here in the Masai Mara for about 3 months and eventually heading back. This year, the migration is very, you know, confused, I would call it, because they've been heading back, but today we just saw another big herd coming back. I don't know if it will get all the way to where we are. If it does, then for sure, it has been very, very confused, the migration. During the migration, yes, the confusion is the word I've used. They do move in different direction every time. Yandre Jumbo. Yes, you know where they migrate to? Well, a migration is a journey they make throughout the year. We only have it here from the end of June all the way to end of September. This year it has been slightly extended. I think it's due to global warming, and also, you know, the global warming has brought lots of rain, and so we've had lots of grass, so there was no need to really rush back. After those months, September, usually they head back to the Serengeti, and they have to go all the way down to the floors of Ngorongoro, or, you know, to the periphery of Ngorongoro Crater, a place called Olduvai Gorge, around that area. That's where they give birth. And the main reason they give birth there, you know, the plains are very flat, so it's a very good place to give birth because it is guaranteed that many will survive. Also, it is believed that the soils down there contain minerals that are good for lactating females, so they're very, very smart. They get there, they drop their calves, and when it rains, you know, that will be almost the rainy season, they will have plenty of, you know, food and milk for the little ones to get really, really strong before heading west to Lake Ndutu and then eventually to Western Corridor before making their way here at the end of June. I'm gonna continue on and follow them, and while I do that, let's find out what's happening with another safari vehicle.
Thanks, Isaac. Now here we just come across the beautiful bird of prey, which is a tawny eagle, perching in a tree. In fact, there's two of them. Another one we can't frame now. It's far apart from one another. And we're checking in this area because sometimes they are one of these birds. They would participate in a kill or somebody else's kill. And so far, it's only one species. And I know for sure they also associate with some vultures if there is a serious kill, or some Bartolo eagle as well. You find them in the very same area, trying to wait for something to happen. But we've seen two of them together also. Could be that they're the first one to spot whatever it is around here. And for that, they will wait. Sometimes they wait for something so small you wouldn't believe this kind of bird. They wait for some, even like dead lizard that probably bring a lot of smells up once they pick up the thermos. And they all circle around here, and finally they get into the trees and they perch for it. And they find a hole, maybe all 10 vultures, 20 vultures waiting for something that's really worth for their size. But from the smell, the point of view, they won't estimate how much is a meat in there until they see what is it. So this is a tawny eagle sitting on an acacia tree. And this is how they hunt. It's probably looking around here. Sorry, you want to repeat that question? I know Chris his name, but I couldn't understand the question. Chris, good afternoon and welcome to your beautiful show this afternoon. You want to know if they always travel on their own? Sometimes on their own, but they can be pairs sometimes when they're mating pair, but you always see a tawny eagle on its own trying to hunt around, and it comes to a way where the male won't tolerate another male sometimes around. Only the female, once they're around, they kind of like a pair, but not for life, is that the female should be around and get dominated by the male. In that point, the male will be sometimes separated away, trying to do its own things, hunting. But when it comes to the kill, and that's for everyone to participate, sometimes you see even a warbeck eagle that don't really like to scavenge on a big kill, but then kite as well, fly in, catches up and get up to the tree to perch and feed. But then in that way, these eagles, sometimes a lot of time you see vultures getting killed, and an eagle like this is so small. For them to compete with vultures, they're mainly getting killed if they're forced too much to get in, themselves falls into that kill. So I'm going to focus around in this thicket here, see what it is. Otherwise, if we find anything, we'll come back to you. For now, let me take you to another safari live.
Now back in the Mara here, we have this lone elephant bull, and it seems like he's walking slowly but grazing. He's headed to the direction where there's rain. You can see over in the background there, it's raining. Now these bulls are always by themselves, and sometimes they'll be in a bachelor hut. So I'll just drive a little bit to get another good angle as he walks over into the plains. Look at the sky, beautiful sky there, as he's majestically walking towards that direction. So normally when I see these kind of bulls, I know that there must be other bulls within, which we call them askaris. So older bulls associate themselves with the younger bulls who follow them because they learn from these big bulls, from the mating etiquette to how to carry on their daily activity. These bulls play a very important role towards their success. And if he comes across an elephant herd or a breeding herd, he will walk. Thank you for your question. Yes, sometimes it hurts because the elephant tusk has also cavity because it has nerves. So depending on how severe the tusk has broken, then they can also feel that because of the nerves and the cavity that they have on the tusk. So it also hearts. But if it's only on the tip, halfway between the skin and the tusk, that is at least where they can feel some pain. But when it's on the tip, they can't really feel that much of pain. So when he comes across a breeding herd, he will definitely walk within them and try to analyze the female if there may be estrus or not, and then he will wander off and carry on his daily activity. Both will eat much more than the females. They can eat up to about 400 kilos, while the females can eat about 250, almost 300. It's a nice weather. It's cool, so he doesn't need that much of flapping. You can see it. Sarah, thank you so much for your comment. Indeed, can't agree more. So as this big bull keeps on walking and eating, I'll carry on to another location as I take you over to another live location.
Well, I'm still with my herd here, and they have decided to eat a little bit while they decide what move they're going to make. It is typical of these animals to stop and sort of look like they are discussing, and sometimes forget to discuss. They're just grazing now. You can tell there's quite a good number coming from back there. It's a beautiful shot. But now one has broken and it has started to lead. You can tell it's over here. There is a mini crossing that is going to happen. We won't be able to witness it because it's a very bumpy and steep. We cannot be able to show you, but they have to cross a stream and then head out to the other side, out into the open plains. Looks like they have gone. They're going to cross there. And when they do that, all of them do go. I'm gonna just stay there, Bungi, just 1 second. Yeah. When they go, they all cross. They usually run and then cross, stop on the other side. I think that's what they're going to do. This is a small herd that had come quite a long way. They were the only ones around this area. You can see where they're coming out the other side. Don't know if you can see that. That's where they're coming out. But it's a very thick bush on the other side. If there was a lioness or a lion, it would get one very easy. And then they're breaking it. They're running for their lives on the other side, trying to catch up. Now that the first few have managed to survive, everybody knows that it is safe. And now it's let's go. That is what they're doing. There's a seasonal river here called the Sabaringo, and that's what they're crossing. It's very, very shallow, easy to cross. There's still a good number here. Herds like this are very common after the migration because some of them stick around where there is plenty of grass, and when it rains they just stick around for a little bit more, and then when they decide to go back, they maybe sometimes go in the wrong direction they end up being lost for quite a long time before eventually finding the right direction to go back. These ones, I would say definitely, they were very lost. They were the farthest north here of the second herd of migration. But now they have decided, they have made their way across. They've found a path, and I hope they're going to get to the plains. It was quite a good number. I would give it around 2,000. They're still coming. These are the draggers. Remember to talk to us, #WildEarth. Questions and comments are really, really welcome. And looks like it's starting to rain. Lee, Jambo, I asked myself the same question. But moving is an ancestral thing for them. They look for pastures, they look for space, they need a very huge area to roam, so they always have to move around looking for this highly nutritious red oat grass that the females need to come into season. So they're always looking for this grass, and because the herds are so big, if they stay in one area, they'll exhaust the grass, so they have to keep moving. That's why they migrate. But I always hope they would move from one area to the other and not really like go back to the Serengeti. I'm gonna move on because the last ones have crossed and I have nothing else to show you apart to continue and find something. They have disappeared off into the bush across there, but there is an open plain on the other side. Hopefully they all made it. Well, let me go down here as I close the vehicle. Let's take you to another live safari vehicle.
So when we left you earlier, this female cheetah started stalking and we looped around all the way to the other side. And look at that. They just caught a baby Ngala right in front of us. Look at this. You can see the one youngster's got the baby Ngala there. And she chased it for quite a bit from the one side of us and all around to the other side. And it was very quick, but that Ngala seems like it is completely. Look at the youngsters grabbing the neck and biting the neck there as well. Oh my goodness, what excitement. Is it just me or can I see? I just saw the ear of the little Ngala move a little bit. So it's unfortunate that this Ngala has died, but this female cheetah is feeding her cubs for one more time, and they will not rest with empty bellies. Look at even the youngsters are panting quite a bit. They were running behind their mom. So this female cheetah, when she spotted everything earlier, Ross sitting on the vehicle with us that's joined us on drive today, he spotted some Nyalas far in the distance, and we came around and sat with these Nyalas, and then we didn't even know there was this youngster with its mom in the thickets next to us, and all of a sudden we just heard a lot of chasing, and then she came out into this burnt section here and caught it right in front of us. Look how she's panting. Such a hot day. Chris, you're asking if they hunt every single day. It depends on what they've eaten or so. Like I said earlier, a couple of days ago, this female cheetah actually was on a big impala carcass, and her and her cubs fed themselves with quite big bellies. They rested for about 24 to 48 hours. I think it's 48 hours since they've been on that impala. So they'll hunt anytime they can because they are very opportunistic. But when they are hungry, they'll be super alert. So even though it's very hot, Gerard was actually asking, do we think that she'll hunt when it's hot like this? And obviously she took the first opportunity she could get when she saw those nyalas in the distance. See how she's scanning around? So with this female cheetah is definitely looking around and making sure there's no other predators that's coming this way. Because even though this is a small nyala, it made a small bleating sound when it got caught, and this scurry and all the animals running in all the directions could have caught the attention of other predators, and she has to be very careful with her youngsters. So while she's catching her breath, you can see the youngsters are very playful with the carcass and biting towards the neck. Oh, it's definitely still alive. Can hear it making a few noises, maybe catching its breath, because I don't think, yeah, the mom's definitely not killed it yet. I'm going to keep quiet, see if you can hear it. Yep. Sorry, this is not the prettiest sight, and if see, she's got it on the neck there now, and she's suffocating it. So I think when she had it earlier, she didn't suffocate it completely. She was probably leaving it to see if the youngsters could chase it or so. They are getting to the age where she's going to try and teach them to hunt, but there she is giving a final suffocation. That's maybe why the youngsters were so interested in it. Oh my goodness. So the patience paid off. Just sitting with these cheetahs and waiting. So even the youngsters are scanning around them. Karis, you're asking how long these two cheetah cubs will stay with their mother. So as you can see, they were not even able to give the killing blow to this young Nyala. So they are just starting to learn to hunt. So I guess it will probably be another 6 months to a year before they have mastered the art, and then their mother will probably leave them. It's with cheetahs often around a year and a half or so of age. I think these two are just about 8 or 9 months old, maybe even closer to a year. So they've got about 6 months or so left before their mother will try and get away from them. Look at that. And immediately the youngsters are starting to feed. You can see our mom is looking around. You can see her mouth is quite bloody. Even the youngsters have quite a bit of blood around their mouths as they start opening the carcass. Again, just see how she's looking into the thickets behind her there. She's even turning around, looking into the denser areas and making sure that they are safe. And immediately the youngsters are starting to feed, and this is often the case, especially with this female, because she ran so much she has to catch her breath. And in this way the youngsters are filling their bellies much faster than mom is. So it's quite tough being a female cheetah with youngsters. Oh, look at the Nyalas trying to get up. Again, this might actually be the time where the female cheetah tries to bring some live young back to the youngsters to teach them how to hunt. But I don't know if you saw earlier, but as soon as that Nyala made just a bit of a sound, she immediately caught it and grabbed it around the throat to prevent it from making a noise, because that's obviously going to attract some predators. There we can hear it again. Let's see what she does. Byron, you are asking if there's any noticeable features that's different between males and females in cheetah. I think the only prominent difference is maybe the size. Male cheetahs are a little bit higher and a little bit bigger than the females, but other than that, you really have to look underneath their tail and see what sex organs they've got. Otherwise, there's absolutely no ways to really tell. It's not like a male lion and a lioness that have the mane or not a mane. Oh, look at that. Yeah, it's still... So the reason why this female is bringing this young, not killing this young Ngala, is to teach the youngsters where to bite it and how to kill the Ngala. There, look at the youngster going to the neck, and there we go. Look at that. Saw what Mom was doing earlier, and doing exactly the same thing. But for now, I think these cheetahs are going to stick in this area, and she might keep a lookout, and the youngsters are going to keep on feeding, but we are going to stick around and see what they do from here.
Well, how exciting is that? Not every day you get to watch Mom teaching the little ones how to go about things, but say good afternoon. I've delayed one from us because, well, we haven't had nearly as much luck, but like I say, good afternoon from myself, Tristan, and on camera I've got Impo this afternoon. We are just bumbling about Djuma at the moment. We're trying to see if we can find any sign of, well, anything at this stage. Lots going on around us, so the Djuma Pride, which we will not see for a long time because they've killed a big bull giraffe, are just to the south of us. We've got dogs that are just off our western boundary, and then there's 3 cheetah off our southern boundary. So hopefully this afternoon things will start to happen and those animals will start to move. Well, not the Nkuhumas, but the cheetah and the dogs potentially, which would be nice. But otherwise we're going to try and scratch around for Thandi and her little cubs, see if they're around, and then anything else that comes our way. So far though, because of the heat, it's been a sort of slow start to the afternoon. Everything seems to be hiding out at the moment. So we're going to just check around in this area. This is where we last had Thandi's cub. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of luck.
Oh, there she's just grabbed the young Ngala, and she's pulling it. I think she's trying to get it a little bit into the shade, and look how she's actually holding the throat. So she is trying to take the strangle and suffocate the young Ngala, because I think the youngsters were taking too long, and she is trying to avoid any other predators from being attracted by the sound of this young Ngala. See how those youngsters are panting. It's so hot today, so it's quite weird seeing her hunt in the heat of the day, like we said, but so opportunistic. Look at the bloody mouth there of this youngster looking straight towards us. See how that other youngsters immediately started actually feeding on the hindquarters of the Ngala there, trying to get to the softer parts of the Ngala as quick as possible before Mom and the other youngster tries to come and join. See how the female's like holding the throat of the Ngala for quite a while now. Oh, this youngster has opened the carcass quite a bit already. Look how heavily she's panting. You can just see her body moving up and down. But for now, I think we're going to stick around and see what this female and her youngsters get up to.
think they might stick around and try and finish off this Ngala.
We've come across a bird of prey, and this is a very unique bird of prey, and I'd like to ask our viewers the name of this bird here. Amazing nature. Looks like you're almost right, but not quite. I didn't get that quite clearly. Sarah Features, you are quite right. This is an hawk eagle, very, very buffy and striped, where sometimes you find them in pairs, and they have a very unique kind of hunting where they'll mob two of them. One will be up on the air and one will be low on the ground. So you're very, very correct. Thank you so much. They have a very unique kind of hunting style where one will be up on the air while other will be above, also lower than it. So the one low will be flashing off prey, and the one above will be the one to catch off the prey. So very, very interesting kind of birds. So we have other people who are enjoying this sighting, so they've come to see this bird. And also here we have lots of wildebeest, and probably because it's raining we might try and find some lions who might be hiding from the rain. Peter, thank you so much for your comment. So because it's a little bit cool and nice weather to see animal activity, so I might be driving off to find more game, and probably maybe because it's short grass area, try to see if I can find some cheetahs along this area. Or who knows what I will come across. So these trees, sometimes you might find lions lying under this type of trees, and time right now when it's raining, I might try to see if there are lions under these trees. So on my mission to find some lions, let me take you over to another safari vehicle.
Alrighty guys, good afternoon. So we found those lions for you, just by the way. No, I'm just joking. These are the 3 females that we actually found this morning. It is a warm afternoon here in Tswalu. My name is Moritz, by the way. Behind the camera we've got David. And so yeah, we came back to these 3 females from this morning because we are very sure that they might look to hunt this afternoon. Not currently though. As you can see, they might be dreaming about hunting, but that's as close to hunting as they are at the moment. However, I do feel like when it starts cooling down and the general game starts moving, the wind is blowing nice and strong into their faces. They might try and set up something. As for those of you who joined us this morning, if you can remember, they were looking into the wind with quite some intent. Now, it could have been because of the lion cubs that's stashed away not too far away, which was wind up for them, so they would have been able to smell them if the wind carried the smell so far. However, I'm hoping that it's rather hunting. Their bellies are not full. That one is as far as hunting as you can get. Closer to sleepwalking up the tree if we look at that paw on the bark. But yeah, so we're going to stick with them for a while, or until it gets a little cooler, and hopefully we'll be able to get something going. I don't know if you guys saw now when we were in on her face, that pink nose. Remember yesterday when I spoke about the male lion with a black nose? This pink nose is not anything with regards to pigmentation or anything like that. Shame she's a little shy. It's more age that is, turning that nose, or not turning it pink, that's causing it to still be pink. That will over the years, as she matures, get into that black coloration that we know most lions have. So clear indication of age, about 2.5 years old, these females. And it's going to be an interesting sighting if they do try and hunt, with them being relatively young still. Luckily they are 3, so they can work as a team. However, I don't think the experience levels are quite there yet. Maybe hunting with one of the leading huntresses of the Southern Pride, you might be able to direct them in the right way, but now that they have to do their own thing, it's going to be an interesting sighting to see how quickly they have learned to, all the tricks of the trade, and how to work as a team, and who's going to take the lead, and all of those things. So we just had a question from Lisa. Why are they not with the Pride? Lisa, so there's been quite the shift in dynamics at the moment in the Southern Pride, just because 2 of the females have relatively young cubs. So the one female, the large Southern Pride female, the dominant female in the Pride, she's got cubs of, I want to say at most maybe 6 weeks old. So very, very small. Then the other Southern Pride female, or the second Southern Pride female, she's got that 5-month-old cubs, and the other one is actually mating with the males at the moment. We don't know where they are, but we do know that she's with one of the males mating somewhere. So with that being the case, the moms are not going to like having these sub-adults too close to the young cubs. You know, with them being still relatively young, there's still a little bit of cub inside them. So with that being the case, they might be, you know, playful and so on. And a 2.5-year-old lion playing with a 6-week-old cub could prove to be rather dangerous, even though their intentions might not be like that. So what we've seen now is the two mothers are sticking together, keeping their cubs also together. Then what they will do is have allo suckling, so then they can take care of the cubs together, and then these three are by themselves, well, as a group, which is great experience for them as well. But yeah, guys, we're going to send you off somewhere else, and if there's something that happens here, we're going to come right back.
Beautiful. So we come across the bull elephant, and now he's facing away from us, and he's been moving around here, you know, back forth every time. Looks like he's busy. Maybe he's in an area where there's sweet plants. It is for him to feed on. I'm 100% sure about that, because he's not actually very static, but he's not about us. You can tell from the distance he's busy feeding there. He's not actually feel threatened by us at all. You'll come right to the open slightly, I think. It's one of the bull elephant. Look at this tusk, well, thick enough to be in a male. That's how you can able to tell. Usually female, they grow thinner tusk and very square head, but also size as well. For the female, slightly smaller compared to the male. So he's visiting a lot of these falling trees for new shoots of grasses and pull off a few plants as well. And they have a lot of different species of plants, trees around here for them to eat. Well, since I got here, he never stopped flapping the ears. Again, his ears are so important. It's not all about bringing all the good hearing, but to able to accumulate the body temperature when temperatures rise, especially today. Still feel kind of a humanity in a low field. So the elephants, they have to work hard, not only Wild women, welcome to the beautiful shore this afternoon. I think it's been recorded that elephant been mating or seen mating when he was not unmasked. So, but we all understand that situation also lions or leopard would do the same when they're not actually on. What happened, the female one, she's not in a serious or true estrus. And then that helps nothing, because then she won't conceive. Could be the same with this animal sometimes, like elephants or most other animal, that they will mate where the male's ready, but then the female, she's not ready. That's what we found. It's a waste. But it helps when elephant bull come on mast and look for the female that she's also ready to mate. And that conceive take place very quickly, because then they're all ready in the same time. That is, I think I read somewhere that it's been seen happen, but I'm not sure whether that animal come pregnancy after that happened. For such animals like this, they are, a long time ago, the study, we found out that they only mate in the water. So, which study's been going on over these years about animal behavior and things like that, which not only in the water they can mate, but also in land they can do that. So for him, looks like he's actually normal. When I look, the temporine is not actually sweating the temporal gland. It's not coming out at all, nothing secretion there. So it's probably on his, 38, somewhere there, roughly his age. So I'll wait around here, see if there's more bull coming out in this open. And then I'm going to take you to another safari life while we're trying to reposition.
Now, our short grass plains have really produced something. We've come across this lion and two lionesses. I think something moved them from the grasses to the short grass plain. So they were walking towards that tree and then got intercepted by that big male there who is busy picking a scent there, analyzing the scent. Maybe one of the lioness urinated there. So by doing that, he's getting the scent into his Jacob's organ, an organ that is mostly used to analyze the scent of females, whether they're in estrus. And that kind of grimace is called flattening grimace. Very big boy there. He looks very healthy. He's either maybe courting one of the females there. I'm assuming those two lionesses are sisters, and one of them is in estrus. That's why he's following them, showing some signs of maybe mating soon. Because as soon as that one to the left was walking, he intercepted her. So that means there might be some interest there. Big yawn. Gabriel, thank you so much for your question. The females look like they're from the Mugoro Pride, but this is way far from the Mugoro territory. So this is in the Owino territory, so that I'm trying to identify this male here. So I'll be able to tell you in a short while because I haven't seen him for quite a while. But definitely the females are from the Mugoro Pride. I haven't been able to recognize this male yet. So I'm going to hang around here, see what's going to happen between these two females here and that male. See whether they're going to walk out of this area or he's going to court her. A big yawn there. We've seen lots of male lions walking within other lions' territory. And this is the first time I've come across this guy here. So we've seen big movement of lions. So we saw the male lion that was dominant for this pride territory, Olalashe, went over to the Ololo Pride. So I'll just hang around here and wait to see what's going to happen as I take you over to another live location.
So they've all started feeding, and you can see one of the youngsters sitting up there. Might just hear another vehicle off-roading. We've come around to the other side, and we've got a very nice view of a little gap here, just on the edge of this burn section. And we've got a beautiful, beautiful view through the thickets. And Ross on the vehicle here with us was just pointing out how they're not really starting at a certain place. They did start on the hindquarters, but they're just feeding wherever they can. With such a small Ngala, there's not much space for these 3 cheetahs, so they'll feed where they can. Look at that. I don't know if you saw that little insect, or the insect that flew there in front of them. It's actually a dung beetle. So the smell of the carcass and maybe the smell of the intestines and so already attracting a dung beetle looking to maybe get rid of the stomach contents or whatever is inside the large intestines and small intestines. Look at that. We were looking earlier at this female. You can see she's got quite a bit of blood just below her front paw there as well. And we're trying to see if it's a scar from maybe running it through the thickets or so, or if it's just the blood from the Ngala. Look at that. See how she's looking around every now and then, just keeping an eye on what's going on around her, even while after feeding for a little bit. And look at that youngster on the right hand side there, how it's trying to chew with the back teeth. So trying to get those using that carnivore shear that they've almost got. That words now lost me, sorry about that. But they've got, their molars are so adapted to how it's trying to get the skin and stuff in the corner of its mouth to try and cut through the skin and maybe some bones or so. Like an insect flying over them there, and that youngster's not happy about that. Okay, this other youngster might see if it can get around to the other side. Kimberly, you're asking if there's an average age where cheetahs start to teach their youngsters to hunt. Yes, definitely. Actually, from when they're about this size and older, so anywhere from just under a year to a year old, then they start teaching the youngsters. They'll bring them live young and let them chase and do the last little bit, and they suffocate the youngsters. And these two are actually lining up very well with the impala lambing season. So the impala lambs are hopefully coming around the 7th of November. That's when I think they are going to be dropping this year. It might be a little bit earlier or later, but we'll see. Then she might bring them some live youngsters. I'm just saying a specific date because all us rangers have a few bets going on around on when the first impala lambs are going to be dropping, and that's my bet on Phinda. See how they're getting right in there. I wonder why that other youngster is not feeding. Chris, you're asking if cheetahs eat organs? Oh, look at that. Yeah, see, that's why it's not feeding. Mom was actually chasing it off. Not enough space there. So, Chris, just to get back to your question, you're asking if they eat the organs. So with cheetahs, because they have to be very careful of other predators, they'll avoid feeding on the intestines like the stomach and the small and large intestines, because that smell that comes out there will attract all the other predators in the areas. And with this wind blowing, you can imagine that scent will travel quite far away. So the heart and the liver and all the meatier organs that have quite a lot of oxygenated blood in it, they will definitely feed on that. But the things that might smell a bit, they won't. And as far as meat goes, this female cheetah will only really feed on fresh meat. They don't scavenge at all, because there might be other predators around, something that's maybe a bit smelly. Might hear some other vehicles also coming and joining us in the sighting. Quite special seeing them on an Ngala carcass like this. But you can see it's almost finished, but I think we're going to hang around and see what these cheetahs get up to after this carcass was done.
Beautiful. True that cheetah also prefer fresh kill, is true, or fresh meal. Here we're still in this area with a beautiful single bull elephant. I was hoping that could be more around here. So if it's that the case, then they could be far away or far from one another. These animals are very good on communication and able to communicate, use a sound. Some sound we can hear, but some sound hardly for us to hear. If they kind of like not far away, but they have to make that trumpet sound that can travel far away, and there's a grumbling sound. Also, when you hear it, it just looks like it's a truck, big truck, with a boost of exhaust coming from the way distances, but made by this individual animal. He comes now into this very beautiful area where he is right now. It's all green grass around him, and he likes it so much. He hasn't moved so far since we repositioned, so he loves feeding in his new shoots. And it comes to this time of year, it's so important for animals, all animals, especially elephants. Gabriel, thanks for the question. Welcome to the beautiful show. I think I had correct. You want to know what they are favorite fruits, the elephants. I know in the wild there's no, melon grow around.
Back to our lions, then they seem that they're not doing nothing much. The male lion has crouched, the lionesses are sleeping, so I hope that they will wake up soon. But since it's cold, so they need also some warmth, and I'm sure by placing their heads down on the ground and facing one direction, that means that at least there's some warmth there. Look at what they've done. They've just gone behind that termite mound, at least to shelter themselves from the wind. I haven't seen this for quite a while. It's my actually first time to see this male here, so I'll want to see what will happen, because in this locality or this radius I saw a male by the name of Blondie, but Blondie looks not so good. He's in bad shape because he had fought with some other lions, but he's slowly gaining back. So we've had some people come to see these lions. Super exciting to watch this here, and I'm sure they're going to enjoy. As soon as they wake up their head, raise their head to scan the area and watch over for other lions who might maybe be coming in this territory, or maybe intruders. When a lion is courting a lioness, he doesn't want another lion within that area. We saw that evident when Olalashe was mating with one of the Ololo pride. He was not happy with the younger male that was present in that area. So this is evident that he doesn't want any other male within this area, because it might be of conflict. So every male wants to sire off the cubs, to be the father of the cubs. So if that conflict comes in, they have to fight. So he keeps on raising his head to watch around to see if there's another male coming in or not. A lilac versus roller has seen them, and that's why it's going noisy. Sasikasi, do lions mate for pleasure or for instinct? So when lions come into estrus, that is how it triggers. You saw how that lion was sniffing the air and doing a grimace. So they have an organ called the Jacob's organ, and most present in mammals, where the Jacob organ analyzes the scent of females to see if they're in estrus. In other creatures like the reptiles, the Jacob organs has a different meaning. So only during that time, that after they realize or get the scent of the female, tell that they're in estrus, that is when they will mate. Unlike baboons and porcupines, who will mate for pleasure, these other mammals, especially lions, will not mate for pleasure. I'm still going to sit here and wait for at least an action, see what the lionesses will do, if he will still caught one of them or not, as I take you over to another live location.
Sorry about that, guys. Got me back again, I believe. And yeah, so we're on the question. Thanks, Gabriel, for losing me just before I complete your question there. So I'm still in this very same area, and this bull's still feeding in there. So here I finally mentioned something about melon. Melon is one of their favorite. They like most orange, if there's orange. But in this wild, in these reserves, there's a marula tree, which is, they love the fruit of that tree. And now it's not actually a season for this marula to be ready, or even not in a tree yet, but they should be, because then the green is taking place right quickly. And then maybe in a month later, we'll see a lot of round fruits, green, hanging up in these marula trees. So they won't disturb, they won't eat them once they're not ripe. And they're just going to wait, because then the reason they won't disturb them if they're not ripe, it's because there's no flavor, there's no smell they like. And they won't even recognize this is marula or anything. But only when this fruit's ripe, and ripe drop down. And then, of course, from there comes yellow in color, but flavor, you smell so beautiful for human, because we also eat them or make a beer out of them as well. So, but elephants specifically love this type of fruit of a marula in this area. I would say that's very a key for them to be able to go around this time of year, or in that ripening season of this fruit, which is anything from February, March. That's what they would like to get around so much, and able to search around for trees. They even know which trees are sweet enough for them to be able to visit. And there's a competition, because all group, you find they know very exactly the same tree. So it's a competition for individual group to visit that tree, and they find some of them already feed on that trees and have to make another plane and visit another tree again, and that's the job for the day. All right, I'm gonna move forward. He's heading into one of the pan there. If he doesn't drink, we'll leave him. I'm gonna take you to another safari life.
Okay, guys, so we managed to find a leopard. As you can see there, that is the New Zulu female. Very relaxed today. We actually found her drinking from a little puddle on the side of the road, and now she has decided to be very active, and it looks like she is on the hunt. So she's been cruising here, walking along in quite a thick area. If you have a look around us, you can see it is pretty thick, and she's been cruising through here looking to hunt. She's looking at opportunities, she's walking, she's stopping before any clearing, she's smelling, she's staying in cover, she's looking around, and that's why we think she's looking to hunt. You know, also moving around this time of the day, you can see we're in a bit of shade. There's a massive cloud that has come over, which has been quite a blessing. I'm just trying to get into position here so I can see her. We'll get a view now. I think, Eddie, can you get through there? So you can see where she's heading. I mean, just look at that camouflage firstly. A bit tricky for us, but I mean, it's perfect for her. This is a great place to hunt. Inside a thicket like this, you might find a duiker, maybe a steenbok, and she even went after a little bird earlier. So, I mean, she's, you know, looking for pretty much anything, especially at this time of the day. You know, she must be very, very hungry to be hunting so early in the light. I think she'll go after any little snack that she can find at the moment, which is good for us, because now we might see her. You'll see she'll walk, then stop at like a bush, and then just sort of pounce, just leap. Maybe then she's found like a mongoose or a francolin. See how she just disappears inside there. Look at that colouring though. Brown, black, like a sort of yellowy honey gold. Disappears inside the greens and the greys and everything like that. Now she'll just pop out. Yeah, you can see some branches shaking. Then incredibly, like you see nothing. And then they pop out, hopefully. Hopefully she pops out.
Daryl, we've got your audio.
Oh. I mean, it's being trying able to follow and find them. You know, I'm trying to drive and not crash, and Odie's trying to do the camera, and I'm like, Odie, watch the leopard at the same time. So I mean, it's quite a challenge. Luckily we got Rowan here as well. He's driving and also helping us, you know, trying to keep track with his guests. What we're going to try to do is see if we can loop around. We'll keep you updated.
From the leopard to our sleeping lions, you can see he's trying to scan the area. He keeps on raising his head. Maybe there's another lion within this area. By the look of it. But the lionesses are still lying down, not even raising their head, not even moving. I can only see their ears flapping. It's interesting how lions have come into estrus at this time. But lions will come into estrus all year round, depending on how successful they've come from winning their cubs. So after every 2 years, after successful winning their cubs, they will come into estrus. The only time that lions will come into estrus is maybe if a lion comes into the pride area and kills the cubs when they are still young. So within 3 to 4 weeks, that lioness will come back into estrus. So we've seen lions from the Olololo Pride come into estrus. We've seen about 3 lionesses mating from the Lolo Pride. Now these 2, I'm not sure which one of them is in estrus, but I'll be keen to learn or to see who is going to mate with him. So that tells you that the lion population here is going to increase. We've seen very good number of wildebeests coming in. So lions have had a very good feast at this time. We've seen the Owino Pride with about 3 cubs. We've seen the River Pride with 4 cubs, which is very interesting to learn that the diversity of lion is also coming up in this particular area. So this morning we drove and never saw a single lion. And because today has been overcast, Saira, thank you for your question. Are there any maneless lions in the Masai Mara? No, we don't have maneless lions in the Masai Mara. We only have maneless lions, I think, in a park called Tsavo, where we'll see maneless lions or lions with very small mane, and upper in the northern region where it's very hot and dry, Samburu. But here in the Masai Mara Serengeti ecosystem, we see lions with very big dark mane. She's up. Let's see what she's going to do. You can see her. I'm still going to sit here watching these lions for their next move as I take you over to another live location.
Okay, so we managed to keep up with her, and then she very, the word I'm looking for, she very, very nicely went and climbed into this tree, stunningly. So it's on the top of a termite mound, or half a termite mound, and she just thought, this is where I'm going to stop. Because as I say, it's unusual to see this behavior at this time of the day in this heat. I think she did actually just get too hot walking here. It was a long walk where we followed her from, and she just thought, let me have a lie down, let me rest in this tree, have a look around, see if something maybe comes here to her, or there's a big clearing off to our sort of back left that you, sort of where she's looking now, or where she's facing at least. I think her eye might be closed. And I think she's just waiting there to see if anything comes out into that clearing. Where she is pretty secluded. And that termite mound, there's a branch coming off on the bottom left, just over there. So, she's quite well hidden. The clearing's maybe 80 meters away from her, so there's a bit of shrubbery between her and the clearings. So she just rests there, nice breeze blowing on her. Through the tree up on that branch, you can see very comfortable, tail on one side, that front left leg there, hanging down. Tail on the other side also, just for some balance. Just doing what leopards do. Just looking beautiful. Now, Odie and I were saying as we were coming in here, how beautifully colored she is. Oh, look at that. That is the essence of a leopard. In a tree, always there, looking around. Look at her throat. You can see her throat, her breathing. Just incredible. As we said, this is the New Zulu female. She's still a fairly young leopard. Okay, so we got a question asking how old this leopard is and does she have cubs. I didn't quite catch the name who's asking the question, but yes, she does have cubs. Now, actually, if some of you remember, we saw, was it yesterday or the day before, we saw the Twatsimotso male with the blue eyes, that leopard with the blue eyes. So she is his mother, and then she's got 2 young cubs at the moment, but they're not too relaxed. So I don't think we've actually seen them on Safari Live. Eddie, did you see them? No, so we haven't actually seen them on Safari Live. They are now maybe 4 to 5 months old, her current cubs. So they're still very, very small, not too relaxed. She's actually been surprisingly relaxed from what I've experienced. And she is, I'll tell you her age now. She was born on the 15th of November 2011. So she is quite old. She's quite old. 2011, so that'll make it 9. So yeah, almost 9 years old. So she's very, very old. If you look at her nose, though, it looks surprisingly pink. So Sharon, that question is both yes, they will. So Sharon wants to know, would the leopard jump out of the tree to hunt? So yes, they would. I personally, Sharon, have never seen a leopard jump out of the tree onto a prey. Oh, there we go. As we speak, she jumps out of the tree. But Sharon, I have seen videos of leopards jumping out of trees onto prey. So it definitely does happen. I just haven't seen a situation like that here in Ngala. I saw actually a video where the leopard jumped. It was probably a 3 or 4 meter drop onto the back of this impala. So it definitely does happen.
Beautiful. We follow this bull. He lead us into this slightly puddle of water. It was not very fresh, really fresh for them. And what we've seen here, he only wants to get in there and spray it with mud and move off. He's very much interested on feeding than drinking. Or animals are so picky sometimes, they would need very fresh of water. But sometimes when they have water like that, they will disturb it into very dirty, and again, they would expect water to be clean, which is maybe no chance. And as you can see, it's a little wet on top of him. He uses trunk, suck the dead water with mud. A very high pressure of the air that pushes that water out, while the trunk, it's been rise up, and all the water and dirty fall right on top of that animal. It's all about cooling off anyway. As you can see, its ears are still flapping every now and then, but sometimes it could be the way of scaring off the flies, or because of the temperature rises. So his tusks never really been developed much, but there's this way they sometimes carry a tusk like this. And of course they have to have tuskers. Elephants, it's easy for them to be able to feed when they have tuskers with them, which tuskers work together with a trunk. They're both very serious tools for this animal, and they find themselves enough feeding where the trunk itself can only grab grasses on the bottom, on the level of the ground. And then of course it's well designed with a little clip on the front of the on the trunk itself. But when it comes to feeding on Gabriel, welcome to Safari Live, your show. This afternoon, you want to know how long the tusk is. So sometimes the difference from the female, and the male, anything from 60, well, the first thing is a weigh anything from 61 kgs, and sometimes can be anything 130 kgs length. It's 7 feet, 3.5 meter. Sometimes when it comes longer, but sometimes it can be roughly longer, like a 2 meter sometimes length. I've seen bull elephant in that very long tusk is able to control this tusk when they move. It's very hard for those that carry long tusk And the older do, they have to rise their head up. And not all elephants have those tuskers. They just come from the gene pool. And many of the time we don't come across a lot of elephants with this massive tusker like that anymore. They're around, but very harder to see them. Yeah, but of course the length of a tusk can be anything from 1.8 to 2 meter. When we count 2 meter, you know, it grows from right inside to the skull, develop out. But you see, it's a solid bone, which means once it's broken. We're looking at this now. Very beautiful song, instrumental going on in front of us here. Virtual stalling. So once that tusker broke off, that's why there's no chance for that tusker to be able to grow up again. Because it's not actually made out of horn, I mean like normal horn, like hairy things, which you find in a rhino. That's slightly different. These are not actually made out of the hair or anything. It's a solid bone. And then of course you'll be carrying on like this, feeding. It's a lot of plenty of water everywhere. With the green, this is what helps animals. They don't have to rely on a specific water hole for them to drink every time. They don't drink as they go, as long as there's a puddle of water as we come to this area. And we're in the North Beverly Souk right now. I can't believe this. It's a way of a start in this far north traversing. It's beautiful. And it's plenty of this natural water hole. And then we can able to see some of these little water holes. We're just going to frame it right now, right in front of us. It's the way you see Egyptian geese as well, trying to feed around. Elisa, good afternoon. Welcome to your beautiful show. You're so far alive this afternoon. You want to know how often the bull comes to the mosque. Well, and first things, you know, the bulls in that age, he's start to come on mass every time when he's above 25 years, and then of course you see his secretion takes place from there, but not actually able to mate if there's no chance. A lot of dominant male around here, unless there's no dominant male around in that area, then we have a privilege to mate, and because nothing will push him off that females. But you know, it comes in and out. Will settle down sometimes, and a week later it arises again, and it comes on mast, and then of course it disappears. It does itself settle down if there's no mating situation happen. Even when there's a mating situation happened, it comes on mast very often, maybe 3 times a month, and that's how they do. Could be more than that or less, depending on the area of where these animals are. Remember now, looking at the African elephant, African bush elephant, it's not an forest elephant or an Indian elephant. That then, an Indian elephant, that secretion we're talking about, it only on the males, not on the females on the Indian elephant. So we're going to leave this bull here and see if we can maybe find something else for you guys. I'm going to take you to another safari life somewhere else.
Alrighty guys, so not much activity just yet. The temperature is starting to drop slightly. The wind has changed a little bit, so it's coming now more from the southwest. But this particular female has actually moved over to another little, you know, this little raisin bush. You can see there on the right hand, or now in the middle of your screen, the big tree that they were lying underneath. And there's the other two. So this one actually got up and started moving to this piece of shade. It's just a little bit more solid. But yeah, flat cat still. The one is laying up. This one was laying up just now. It seemed like she heard something, but clearly not too important. Still panting or breathing quite quickly. You know, trying to get rid of all of that excess body heat that's being built up, or the radiation that's been absorbed by the sunlight when they were moving from this morning and so on. Luckily, the sand is so nice and fine. As soon as it's been in the shade for a little while, it is actually quite cool. So it provides for the perfect laying spot. So we just had a question from Sabi. How often do lions eat? So typically they'll like to go not more than 2 days without eating, physically eating. Hunting is a different story though. So ideally they would, finish a kill, take it easy for a day, digest those full bellies of meat. And then when they're a little bit more mobile, then they'll go and try and hunt again. So typically about a day, day and a half, maybe 2 days, depending on how successful they are, is the interval between eating, physically eating. However, if these 3 female lions are good enough to hunt, to hunt larger prey, you'll find them maybe killing a young giraffe or a female eland, and that will keep the 3 of them going for 2, 3, maybe 4 days of feeding. So that'll mean they'll only have to, from when they caught the eland, only have to kill again in another maybe 5 days. So yeah, as far as eating goes, they'd like to go not longer than 2 days. However, if times are tough, they can go up to, I've heard of stories where they can go up to almost 2 weeks without eating. But then I don't think they're going to be strong enough to hunt anymore. They're going to have to find something to scavenge on also. They're going to be more bone than muscle at that point. So yeah, hopefully they haven't eaten in a day, day and a half, and they have to eat this afternoon. And then we'll get to witness or see the hunting activity as well. That would be great. And yeah, there you can see that relatively heavy breathing. So yeah, guys, we're going to stick with them for a little while longer. Like I said, it is getting cooler, so hopefully they'll get active soon. And then we'll come show you, okay?
Okay, so we just saw her now. She's she's constantly moving. And she's now just off to our front left. She was actually stalking a warthog. And then the warthog saw her and disappeared into his burrow. But we'll get a view of her now before she disappears. Can you see through there a little bit? So there she goes. Still looking, so you see that she's looking into a thicket now. The fact that she's willing to hunt something like a warthog, which is actually quite dangerous prey for a leopard. Warthogs are very strong. They got those big tusks. They can injure a leopard quite badly. Especially for her, she's not a very big leopard. So it can be quite a dangerous thing. That's why I think she was so hesitant to run after it. But does mean she is very hungry. She is desperate. She's willing to do something like that. I'm going to see if she pops out other side of this bush. We're going to go a little bit forward, so just bear with Owen as he tries to keep you up. So no, she's disappearing into the thickets there. I think just to the right there, Eddie. Go right there. Up. There she goes, guys. So look, where she's going, it is very, very thick inside of there. And I don't think there you can just see her head. We're going to get another good look at her. But what a fantastic experience just following her, seeing how she walks like this and how quickly they can disappear into the brush like that. But I think what we'll do, we'll let her carry on. Let's see what happens with her, if she's successful or not. We're going to see what else we can find.
The reason why I like leopard is because they're and because they're super elusive. Now, from the leopard to a sleeping lion, it seems like behind the termite mound, so we can get a very good sight of these lions. So they all seem to be cold. That's why they're sleeping on that other side, sheltering away from the wind. Now, I'm sure because it looks like he's caught one of the lioness, so they'll not walk a long distance by tomorrow morning. So I sure come to follow them to see what they're up to. So I'm just going to leave them because nothing much is happening right now because it's that chilly, and I'll carry on to find something else, see if some of the Owino Pride lions who we saw with very tiny cubs are around this area. And so maybe tomorrow I'll come back to find these lions here. Jacqueline, thank you so much for your question. Because lion can get to about 26 sometime, during that age, it's not most likely that they can have cubs at that old age. The reason we got to see these lions here is because the grass is super short. But if the grass is a little bit tall, we can't really tell if they're lions. I wonder how many lions we've passed along the way to get to these lions here. This morning we didn't get to see any lions because it was also super chilly. So these lionesses are up now. I'm wondering what's going on in that direction. Or maybe changing position because it's too cold. Yes, I think so. Yeah, thank you so much for your question. The average paw size of these Mara lions, in centimeters wise, is about 6 to 7 centimeters wide, which is actually almost the paw size of 1.5, like this size. The lions in the Mara Serengeti ecosystem are super big, and is believed to have one of the biggest lions in East Africa actually. So because nothing much is going on, I'm going to leave these lions to sleep as I carry on to another location. So let me send you over to another live location.
So alrighty guys, just while we have this one laying so nicely like this, often we have difficulty, if you places like, let's say, Kruger or in the Mara or some place like that, you'd find new lions moving into an area. The population size of those conservation areas are so large or vast that there might be a new lion, male or female, or a pride even, coming into a different territory. And to try and identify them, David's going to go back in on her face now, and then I'll show you what we call the whisker line, or the whisker count, So we use that with not only lions. It actually started happening more with leopards. But if you guys look at that mouth now, to identify a lion or a leopard or even a cheetah, we look at these little lines. If you look at the nostrils, there's these little lines of dots coming out on each side of the mouth. Now we can only see the one now. If you look at the top line, just above that line, there's one little spot on the female's muzzle, basically. So we always start on the right-hand side of the animal. Unfortunately, we can't see that one. And then we go over to the left. So this one has got one dot on the left-hand side, and let's say she has 2 or 3 on the right-hand side. So we'll say her whisker count is a 3 for 1. Okay. Now you might find another lion with also 3 on the right and 1 on the left, but the spots are going to be situated differently. So it's like a fingerprint almost. Because, to use the body of a lion to identify it. Sure, if you spend enough time with a specific individual, after a while you'll know their faces without having to look at the whisker line or other distinguishing factors. But typically, if we find new individuals, like a leopard or a lion or something like that, the first thing you'll do is to look at the whisker count. And, once you put that on let's say a group of guides or, researchers or so, they might have footage of that particular individual in another area, and they can tell you, oh, you know what, this is this guy, or that particular lion or so. So yeah, just so that you also know, we don't always know just off by heart which lion is which. Sometimes we cheat a little bit and we use their fingerprint, their whisker count, to identify these individuals. Because otherwise, you'll have to do DNA testing and those types of things, and they don't typically sit still so that you can grab a hair from them. Just thought that would be something interesting that you guys would like to know. But yeah, out for the count, still not a lot of things bothering her. So we just had a question from Sinat. How do the lions in Tswalu cope with the hot sun or sand? So they typically, what they do is you'll find them finding shady spots like this during the day, getting away from any hot sand or sunlight at that time. But unfortunately, sometimes they're just in an area where the shade is not as available as they would like it to be. So digging into the sand a little bit, getting through that thick, warm layer and into the colder sand, and then once they lay on that, that'll help them cooling down a little bit. And also, regularly moving positions so that one spot doesn't burn too much. Maybe lying on their back, with their belly in the wind, so that there's a lot of body heat being taken out of them by the breeze. But yeah, to cope with the hot sun, they'll have to find shade, or they'll dig through the warm layer of the sand and then get to the cooler part to be able to lie down and not burn. Because guys, on a hot day here at Tswalu, if we have let's say a heat wave or so, the sand itself can get up to temperatures of over 70 degrees Celsius. Now, I don't know how often you've walked on 70 degrees Celsius surfaces. It's not going to be fun. So yeah, lots of shady areas, and then digging into or through that warm layer to get to the cooler sand. That'll work. Every other frame. Yeah. So alrighty guys, yeah. Like I was saying with the sand, it's rather important for them. They'll also, with the animals over here, you'll find that they try and move mostly during the night, especially like midsummer. We're not quite there yet, so you will find them moving early morning, late afternoon. But to give you an idea, things like an oryx, a gemsbok, they do up to 70% of their feeding at night during summer, just because they try and hide from the heat. The rest of the feeding, that other 30%, is most likely early morning and then late afternoon, just before the sun sets. So all of these animals will have different adaptations and different types of behavior. Well, not particularly to each animal, but particular to the season. So around here, because we have blistering hot summers and freezing winters, we find that those two differences in the two seasons have major differences in both nocturnal movement and then diurnal movement. Wintertime, we have almost all of our nocturnal animals moving exclusively during the day. And then obviously the diurnal animals will also continue moving during the day. However, during summertime, you'll find the nocturnal animals exclusively nocturnal again, and then the diurnal animals will actually change their behavior to more of a diurnal or a crepuscular, so early morning, dawn and dusk, and late afternoon, movements, just to get away from either the cold or the heat. Different times of the year also causes the animals to be in different areas in the reserve, because of grazing and browsing, and there where the herbivores go, there's where the predators will be going. So you'll find them being in different areas with different environments as well. So you'll find that summertime maybe a little bit more out in the open, where there's a breeze, large trees close to the water, so that they can, maybe not necessarily lions, but other animals, bathe in the water to cool down like that. Wintertime, maybe closer to the mountainous areas when the sun goes down, so that they can get that little bit of heat radiation that comes out of the rocks that's been baking in the sun for most of the day. But I want these guys to get a little bit more diurnal now, tiny bit more active. But yeah, guys, we're going to stay with them, and then if they do get mobile, we'll let you know.
Well, here I am, and I have come across two lionesses. One is flanking and one is trying to stalk. So a small herd of wildebeest that we're going to show you in a while. But she's in a position where those tiny little bushes to the left are hiding her from, this wildebeest seeing her. They're quite some ways, so I don't know if she's going to be successful or not. But her behavior tells me that she's on the hunt for this small herd of wildebeest. She might wait until it's dark, but who am I to say anything? There is another lioness that is sort of quite a long ways out, and it might be that either of them might chase this small herd of wildebeest towards the other. But I'm just going to stick here and see what's happening. Usually, they'll eat every about, 3 to 4 days. If they get something every day, they'll eat. But these lionesses have been making, every little bit of, a kill in everything, every moment that they've been getting. They've been eating almost every other day. And since they have cubs, it is very welcome. They need to have lots of milk for the cubs. I saw about 3 cubs this morning, very tiny, but it was very brief. I'm hoping that sooner or later I'll be able to share all those cubs with you guys. But in total, there is about 7 now. There is 4 that David saw before he left, and those ones I haven't seen. And then there is 3 that are only about 2 months. Those ones I saw this morning, they came out and disappeared off. So there is 7 in total. So for them, they need to drink a lot of milk, and these females have to make kills every day. This lioness is ready for the hunt. I don't know what strategy she's taken. Looks like she has backed off. I don't know what she's going to do now. Yeah, she's crossed the track. What I do want to do, lady? She's crossed the track. She's heading off. I don't know what she's doing. Well, she has left onto the bushes there. I don't know where she's heading. I've lost her. Well, I don't know where she's gone. She sort of disappeared on me like a little Houdini over there. So I'm going to stick here and see what's going to happen. Let's see what's happening somewhere else.
Alright, we had to leave that cheetah from earlier, and we found this lioness here on the edge of a big watering hole, and there's actually quite early feeding to the water, and the wind is blowing straight from the Nyalas to this lioness. Look at the Nyalas with their heads down, just feeding on the reeds and the grass on that side. And this lioness, she's got her head down just a little bit. She was actually facing the other direction. She's keeping an eye on these Nyalas. We're not going to move at all, and we're just going to see what happens. Nyalas are still feeding. The lioness is just waiting to see where they go. So she's lying right in the open here. I think if she moves now, they might get spooked and spot her. Quite a busy afternoon here on Phinda, it seems. But look at how she's looking around, trying to assess the situation. The wind is blowing so much in her favor. So these Nyalas have absolutely no idea that she's here just yet. You can see how she's really interested in them. The Nyalas are just picking their heads up and looking into the thickets here. Okay. Very, very interesting behavior. Sinek, you're asking how big the teeth are of the canine teeth of lions are. It's quite difficult to explain, but a fully grown male lion, or even this female, probably around 3 to 4 centimeters to 5 centimeters in length. Might be a little bit shorter as they get older, as they wear away. That's about it. Might be a little bit out on that measurement. Obviously not measured it myself, only by seeing them in the wild. Okay, look how she's got her head down. Oh, look at that. She's stalking. She's stalking. Oh, my goodness. Here we go. This lioness looks heavily pregnant. She's got a fat belly with quite swollen teeth. She went to those short little fine grasses just to hide herself away even a little bit more. Look at her head is very low, trying to take away her silhouette so that the Nyalas won't spot her. But the Nyalas have turned and they're actually facing in the opposite direction. That's why she took the chance to get closer. See how she's positioning herself as well. Heads or down, absolutely no idea. Lisa, you are saying she's quite patient? Indeed she is. She looks like one of the older lionesses of the pride of lions that hang around here. And obviously has quite a bit of experience. And that's why I think she's waiting to see if these Nyalas get to a spot that's going to be easier for her to hunt and maybe gives her the best chance. A lot of open ground between her and the Nyalas. So I think if she starts to run now, there's very little chance that she'll catch one of them. She's just keeping an eye on them. No sudden movements or anything like that. You can see the skin on her back moving quite a bit as well. And there's something that's biting her, but she can't flick her tail. If she flicks her tail or something like that, those Nyalas might spot her. She's closing her eyes, so I think she knows that she is well camouflaged where she is at the moment. So she thinks she's just very, very patient, keeping an eye on the Nyalas though. A short tail flick there every now and then. I think if those Nyalas just move into the thickets a little bit, then we might have something happen. Okay, keep your eye on her and see if you can see her behavior change. Yeah, and you're asking how long it's before she gives birth. I'm not sure how long she's been pregnant, but if this female is pregnant, looking at the size of her tummy, it's probably within like half a month or a month or so. She looks heavily, heavily pregnant. Look how she's got her head down. The Nyalas are on the move to the water, kind of looking in this direction, but they're looking at the vehicles standing here. We're not going to move at all, because we don't want to make them look up in this direction. Look how she's trying to make herself as small as possible. Peter, you're asking if the chase will affect her pregnancy. I don't think so. If she maybe gets a big bump, which is a risk, on her stomach maybe, or on her belly, maybe it would, but I think that she should be fine. They do have a very short gestation period for the reason that they want to hunt, and they need to hunt with babies in their bellies. Look how she's just turning her body slightly as the Nyalas are walking over to the water behind us. Look at that. Can't imagine a big lioness like this hiding away just behind a few strains of grass. Those Nyalas are keeping on walking, hasn't looked at her once. Look at this, creeping closer. She's looking at the vehicles now, trying to maybe assess where she can go from here. The Nyalas are almost reached the water. She's gonna try and hunt these Nyalas. There's unfortunately quite a lot of Nyalas still off to the left-hand side. Off to the right-hand side of us. And if she goes, these Nyalas will definitely see her. Okay. Quite a lot of birds calling.
It's a good time for lions to hunt. And now our giraffes are on the road and they're looking all direction, because these giraffes, I saw them earlier on as I was driving, and they had some youngsters with them. Look at that one, looks a little bit pregnant. So the one that was on the road is actually headed to the bushes where I saw baby giraffes. She's going to feeding. Giraffes are selective feeders, and as they are feeding, they'll move from one bush to another. And they have an advantage because of their long necks, because they get the fresh foliage that is on top of trees and on top of bushes, where other antelopes cannot reach. They have a high sense of hearing and sight. Look at how she's posed ears forward to listen on what's going on around that area, because they get attention from birds as they chirp when they give an alarm sound. It's interesting, the one on the road is actually facing an opposite direction while the other one is facing the different direction. So that means security is heightened as they both are looking two different locations. I need to scratch on the leg there. Despite them having long necks, sometimes they find it difficult to scratch off on the back of their body, so they'll go against a tree or a stump and rub to get rid of ticks. But sometimes you find oxpeckers who do a very good job to clean them. Tracy, thank you so much for your question. How many neck vertebrae do giraffes have? They have 7, just like us humans, only that theirs are elongated. So you can see that very long neck. It has 7 vertebrae like ours. The humans, it's only that they're very long as compared to ours, which are very small and short. So we have other people coming to enjoy. Sasikasi, thank you so much for your question. Yes, I've seen a giraffe give birth in the bush. I watched once and it took about 6 hours before the baby giraffe dropped down. So from about 7 in the morning to about 12:30. So that was the first time to see a giraffe give birth, and it was really, really interesting to see that. Because of their long heights, because of their height, they can see very far. And sometimes when there's any slight movement in the bush, they have to concentrate and check if there's a predator within. So I'm going to hang around here while I take you over to another live location.
Okay, so we left that leopard, as we said. She disappeared into that thick bush, and we thought let's rather leave her be. So instead we came back to the lions. These are the two lions that we started with right at the beginning of this afternoon safari. And you can see they haven't moved too much. I think that female, the one under the tree, that's the young female. She did have her paw up on the tree earlier, and that was about as far as we got. But now it is cooling down, the sun is setting. There's actually quite a beautiful sunset happening with the clouds. Odie, I think, is going to try and get a view there. Look at that. I mean, it is beautiful coming down there. But you can see, so it is getting much, much cooler. I have finally stopped sweating. And there's a bit of a breeze, so it's all turning out to be quite a lovely afternoon. And I think these lions are going to get a bit more active than we saw the Birmingham Pride yesterday. You can see this little one moving a little bit, having a look around. There's a herd of impala maybe 100 meters away in the direction of the sunset. So she could be just hearing them, smelling them, just having a quick look. But we noticed earlier, you can't see right now because she's lying on top of her head, but she's actually got a big injury between her ears, sort of on the top of her head. She's got a very big, it looks like I had a quick look, but I don't know, it looked a bit like a hole, like someone had like bitten her. But then it also looked like it was potentially like a cyst that burst. So it would be nice if she had to just roll a little bit so we could have a look. But I was saying that I think they are going to get active, purely because they have been separated from the Pride for about 7 days now. So they would be looking to join back up with the Pride, potentially try and contact call them, and that would be something very, very special to hear and to sort of witness and to see. That young one started to get quite fidgety. But you also notice how she's constantly lying on the top of her head. It's like she's trying to cover that wound. I don't know, maybe it's cooler on the ground, on that grass under the tree, but softer. Maybe she's trying to put it on there. I'm not sure. But a very different position to the mother. Well, yeah, the mother. That's her mother. Very different position. Mother's flat on her side, head on its side. But that youngster's being a bit more restless, a bit more moving. Could be the wound, could just be because she's young and she's got a bit more energy. She's been sleeping the whole day. It is cooling down. So a question from Roulette asking, do they not get bothered by the flies? And Roulette, definitely. They definitely do. As you can see, they look at her ear. Watch her ear. Obviously, now it's not going to do it. She's been flicking her ear quite a lot. And that's the flies. If the flies land on the body, the stomach, the leg, the neck, they generally just ignore them. The lions will ignore them, but you'll see sometimes the ears twitching, sometimes the tail flicking, and that is all because of the flies. But if you remember, I just said now there's a bit of a breeze. You can actually see the little grass moving, the bushes moving, the leaves, and that wind will actually sort of chase the flies away. The flies will land somewhere. There's not as many flying around. Also, the drop in the temperature, they don't really like that. I think it's going to rain sometime soon, be it like tonight, tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. And the animals can obviously sense that as well. And the flies have actually settled down for the day. If we came back, if we were at these lions maybe an hour ago, then you would have seen the ears constantly twitching, constantly moving, the tail probably going, because that heat, the flies are all over in that heat, everywhere looking for moisture. And these lions in the ears, in the eyes, lots of moisture there around the nose. And then they will constantly be trying to chase the flies away.
Well, the strategy she used was to get out of sight, let the wildebeest forget, and then stalk back. She is back. I can tell you, she is very well experienced, and she came and sat down, and I hope, and I'm thinking she's waiting for the light to slightly fade away, and then she's gonna move in. She keeps looking to the right. There is a female, there is a sister, I think her sister, who is a long ways away, but I don't think she has noticed that there's some few wildebeest, ahead, about 300, maybe 500 meters. And so she keeps looking to the right, hoping that she will see her sister, but already she's, on stalking mode. She will take her time. When the light fades, I'm sure she's going to stalk, and she can actually bring down a fully grown wildebeest by herself. So it's not an issue. She doesn't need the sister. These are the wildebeest. You can tell they're very relaxed. I'm very far away from them, so I'm not interfering in any way. Well, this wildebeest can weigh up to around 200 kilos. A lioness weighs only about 120, but their body is full of muscle, and they're made for the kill. And like this, she's about 6 years old. She's very well experienced. She knows how to bring down a wildebeest. Looks like she's going for it. She's in for it. She's stalking. She's moving fast. You can tell that her nipples, she's got some milk, and so she is nursing. She needs to eat. She needs that meal every day. That is a very serious, mode that she has switched onto. It is a serious stalking mode. She needs to be at least 20 meters before pouncing to make a kill. It is still not guaranteed that, how she's doing, that she's going to make it. One mistake, somebody else can see her, maybe a Thompson gazelle, maybe a waterbuck, maybe she might spook a reedback, and the moment she spooks it, it's going to be over. But looks like she's making a lot of progress. She's breaking the ground. She's moving in. I still say until she brings it down, that's when it is going to be a kill. But this looks very serious, and the way she's moving means that the wildebeest don't see her at all. Remember that she's got the upper hand here. The darkness usually is in her favor because her eyes are modified to gather the slightest light that is available, multiply it, and then she can see better. So she's got the upper hand here. There's no wind, so there's no, the wildebeest picking her. They won't pick her. It's dead still. I'm just gonna sit for 5 seconds so you can hear the sounds that are around here. We've got some bats, some crickets, while we wait and see. They're not in the same frame yet. A good run. Jumbo is the lioness from the River Pride. Yes. It's the only pride that has got very new ones, very new cubs at the moment. We will be seeing more cubs once they start coming out from all prides. Look at this. This is a mistake. The wildebeest have started moving towards her, or breaking the ground towards the left. I don't know how close they're going to be to her, but looks like she has lied down. I don't know what her next move will be. I don't know if the sixth sense kicked in for the wildebeest and they decided that, it is not safe here. So let's continue. Let's see what she's going to do. Looks like they're too far for her. Or is she gonna go for it? Yeah, she's moving. They don't see her. She's moving. She's trying not to run, but she's going. I don't know if she's gonna catch any because they're almost finished. The last one just passed, but she's going. She's gonna continue following. All of them have passed, but you can tell she's not stopping. She's going for them. They think they're very safe, but I don't think so. She's still after them. They've stopped, and she's still going. Every time one turns around, she stays still and dead still. Every time they turn, the wildebeest, she stays still. Every time they start moving, she starts stalking. Yeah, she's moving faster. She's moving faster. I don't know for what reason. Have they stopped? They'll come into the frame right now, so I'll be able to tell you exactly what's happening. They're running, the wildebeest, and also she's running. She's catching up. She is, oh, there's another lioness. Look at that. I didn't see her. Was that a hyena? Yes, it was a hyena. Yes, it is a hyena. I don't know where she came from. I don't know if she notices the lioness. Is the lioness going for the hyena now? Hey, this game should be very interesting. Yeah, the lioness is going for the hyena. You spoiled my hunt. I'm gonna chase you out. Or she's still going out. She's not bothered about the hyena. She's going for the wildebeest. She's going, and there is a small crossing there. I don't know if she's gonna make it. She might make it down there. If she makes it before all of them cross, she might make a kill. Have they all crossed? I don't know. They're still crossing. Well, I cannot tell you if all of them made it across. Looks like it. She has stopped. And looks like it is over. She has to start all over again, like I said, until she makes the hunt. That's when it is guaranteed. The wildebeest didn't see her, but something told them all is not well, and so they decided, to, move on. She has to start all over again.
Oh, we've just repositioned a little bit, so there's lots of Ngalas that have come out of the thicket. You can see there's quite a few bulls in the back with a few females in that orangey red color. And this lioness is not too interested in them. She's hiding away from them so they don't spot her. But with her being so full and having quite a big stomach, we wonder if she's really interested in them. And also, assessing the situation here, I think there's quite a lot of open ground between her and these Ngalas, and it will be a massive waste of energy. She's keeping an eye on them though, because if one of them gets close enough, then we might see her change her behavior very, very, very quickly. It's not like she's even listening towards her Ngalas. So she's repositioning her paws, even getting nice and comfortable. But her ears are still a little bit flat. She's not picking up and listening with her ears straight forward. I think that's just to take away that silhouette that her ears might make, and might make the Ngalas spot her. I think she might also be waiting for the sun to set a bit and for it to become a little bit dark. Jenna, you're asking if she'll hunt on her own and whether or not this is normal for lions. So with lions it's interesting because they are pride animals and they'll try and hunt together because it just makes the chances of them catching something much, much bigger when there's more animals that can stalk and work together. But this lioness, she's either very pregnant or she's just very full from a zebra carcass around the corner that they were on a couple of days ago. So in any case, she's moved closer to the water here to drink some water, and the pride is not far away from here. But the fact that she's by herself like this, if the opportunity arises, she will be super opportunistic and she'll hunt if she gets the chance. So it's not uncommon. If lions are by themselves and they find something, they'll definitely try. So she's actually listening backwards a bit. You can hear some hippos in the water behind us. She's listening to the thickets here on our left-hand side as well. But that wind is actually blowing almost straight from the Nyalas to her, so she could not ask for a better wind direction. If her scent was blowing onto these Nyalas, they would have definitely picked up their heads and been a lot more nervous, but you can see all the heads down into enjoying the long grass and in between the reeds close to this watering hole that we have here. So she's obviously not making any sudden movements. Even when she's trying to chase flies, you'll see her just flicking her ears and moving the skin on her back rather than flicking with her tail. So she keeps on looking around, looking to the right hand side, and so like we said, the rest of the pride is not far away from here. So if she sees them, she might head towards them. But I think if we stick around, we might actually see her get up later on and head in that direction, or even if the opportunity arises, try these Nyalas. See how she bobs her head around every time there's something that catches her attention. Wonder if there's a lot of other animals, just not these Nyalas, that are on their way to drink before the night falls because of the lions being in the area and other predators being in the area. But for now, I think we are going to stick around and see what this lioness gets up to.
We are still relaxing here with our two lions. Haven't done too much. We did have a little bit of interference with an impala that decided to walk across the road and then saw the lions and started alarm calling. Quite a lot. There's actually a whole herd of them scattered amongst the trees. I think Odie's going to see if we can get you a look at them. So they're not very far away. Yeah, you can see those. There they are. Scattered around here, and one walked past and was just alarm calling at the lions. And neither of them even lifted up a head. I don't think they even opened an eye. They just not bothered about that impala. And I mean, it's not a surprise. You know, these two lions here, there's no cover. They're not going to go hunt like you saw at Phinda. You know, it sounds like that lioness there is looking to hunt, but there's a lot of open ground between her and her prey. And she's going to take it very carefully here. There's very, very little cover. So these lionesses are just going to wait for that beautiful sunset. Once that sun's gone, then maybe they'll hunt. You know, you can see that female, the big female, quite hungry. If you look at her back, you can see a little bit of her spine starting to come out just above that bush, that little green bush. You can see very, very thin there. So she is hungry. She is very hungry. We saw her eating maybe 5 days ago. No, so she needs to eat. I think if it's got dark, with this cloud cover, there's not going to be much moonlight, there's not going to be much starlight. So it would be very good hunting conditions. And she knows the impalas are here. So she can just wait it out. Once it's dark, there's a very high chance she might try and hunt one of these impalas. You know, just for the two of them, it's not a lot of food, but it's enough food for just the two of them. I mean, she alone would probably eat maybe 10 to 15 kilograms. And then that younger one, the little cub, would probably eat maybe 5 5 to 8 kilograms. So an impala, one of these females here, is probably weighing 30, 40. So it'd be enough food for the two of them. Just keep them by until they can join up with the rest of the Birmingham Pride. This one's probably missing. So Odie's trying to see that little hole on her head just behind the leaves there. Oh, Donovan. Donovan is asking, how long do lions sleep? Donovan, average. Females like this. A lioness on average will sleep maybe, let's say 14 to 16 hours a day. It's a lot. Males can sometimes push that, maybe 16, 17 hours, sometimes 18 hours a day, especially now in the summer. Donovan, we're going into November, December, January, February. You're looking at temperatures of upwards of 40 degrees Celsius. So these lions, they need to sleep. Let's just rest their bodies, try and conserve as much energy. So those days in February, on a 45-degree day, Donovan, these lions will sleep 18 hours easily. And at night, that's when they're going to move. At like 10, 11 o'clock at night until sort of 3 or 4 in the morning, that's their active time. Otherwise, they are fast asleep. But I mean, also, Donovan, as we saw last night, the Birmingham Pride is exceptionally lazy. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen them sometimes push 20 hours of sleep. They just did not move, especially after they've eaten. I saw this pride, they ate a buffalo, and they stayed in that same place for about 4 days without moving. And like, at least a day and a half was after the buffalo was finished. But they were just so full and so lazy that they didn't move. They stayed in the exact same place. So they really pushed the boundary, lions, on oversleeping. They really push the boundary. But they need to. These animals, they don't sweat. So it's very hard to regulate their body temperatures. They need to be in the shade. They need to be doing as little movement as possible and just using whatever energy they have to try and regulate their temperature. And then when it is cold enough and they do have the energy, it's used to hunt, to catch something, to get more energy, to carry on regulating. Because the female's moving there a little bit. Oh, that's as much action as we've had. Just a little lift of the head, maybe reposition, maybe a termite or an ant or a piece of grass flicked up in the ear. So Linda, I think Linda's asking, do lions suffer with a fever? Linda, possibly. I'm not actually 100% sure. There are a number of illnesses that lions do suffer from. Fever, I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to get back to you on that one. I actually saw a video recently, it was quite horrible, of a lioness that got bitten by a snake. So they think it was either that or distemper. One of the two, but it was, she was just shaking and in a bad way. These lions, they're not invulnerable. They do suffer from a lot of things. Sometimes our animals, they can get anthrax, they can get other poisons, diseases. It's a vast things. Temperatures, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. Look at the size. Odie, just go up a little bit at her paw. I mean, her paw there is huge. This is a female. She is a very big female. A lot of the ones in the Birmingham Pride are very big. I mean, that paw now, if I had to put my hand there, it would probably be the same size as my hand. But except hers weighs a lot more and is backed by a lot more muscle and strength than my hand. But formidable creatures, often we'll get guests that come, especially first-timers, and they see these lions, I guess, just sleeping, completely ignoring us, look like their dog at home or the guest cat at home, whatever it may be. And they're like, oh, they look so cuddly and, oh, they're so cute. Can we go closer? Can I get out? And I'm like, they look like this, but they're really not. This is just while they're sleeping. This is their good side. Get out the car and then we'll see the real lion.
wish that some of the animals that we have been trying to find were sleeping, because it's been an afternoon of, well, a lot of driving and very little to show for it. We've been basically following dogs around all over the place, trying to get them on camera, and they've eluded us. Just as we were about to see them, they then changed direction completely and went back south into a traverse area where we can't go, which is the way it goes. So it's been a bit of a difficult afternoon from that regard, but it's part and parcel of how things roll. Yesterday we had them, today we don't, and maybe tomorrow we will. So who knows? But where we're heading now is we're going to be going towards Cheetah at the moment. There's a report of Sabi with both of the cubs coming north slowly towards Cheetah, so and gamble and see if we can potentially get those two as a sort of last-minute leopard this afternoon. There's not really very much else that's been going on. We've scratched around all over the place. We found a track for Tandi's cub, but it went into a horrible, horrible block. And going on foot with that cub at the moment is probably not the best idea, because the cub's it's just going to end up running away from you. And then to find it again is going to be very difficult. So for now, we just kind of left it there. We checked around at some of the little water points, because often when a cub is left on its own, it'll make its way to the nearest water point and go and lie down. So we checked those, but to no avail. So we're going to head off to Cheetah. Hopefully we'll have a bit of luck, and hopefully Sabi will come north.
Okay, so with the lion sleeping, I already managed to find a Swainson's, but that's a Swainson's spurfowl. The noise that you hear very often out here in the bush. That one itself is, you see it up on the tree. Maybe just getting a better view. Did see the lion, so it's just getting a little bit of a safer place. That it feels a bit of a safer place. And a lot of them were going to sleep now, or getting ready for the night. And you get birds like that will often sleep up in the trees because it is just a bit safer. These lions, obviously, they got nothing to worry about. Nothing's going to come and disturb these two lions here, and that's why they can lie wherever they want, whenever they want. They don't need to be like the leopards. Remember, if you were watching yesterday, was it yesterday, maybe the day before, when we had the Tswalu young male, the leopard, and he lay down in quite a thick area. Because leopards, they still have to be worried. You can see, compared to these two lions, who ride out in the open, the only cover they have was from the sun and this quarry bush. And they not a care in the world. And also, again, they are, I suppose, active at night when everything else is sleeping. That's when they're moving. During the day, the only thing that could disturb them, a herd of elephants would actually chase these lions. If the herd came close by and smelt the lions or saw the lions, they might chase the lions away. And also a herd of buffalo. You get a big herd of buffalo, maybe 100 or not even, maybe even females, 40, 50 females. You're talking about males. You get 5, 6 males. They will chase these lions. Come here, chase them away. And that can also be quite dangerous. We're talking about the leopard trying to hunt the warthog and how it's a dangerous prey for the leopard. And it is. Just like, even for the lions, actually, the warthog is a dangerous prey. But buffaloes, as you can imagine, you're talking about 800 kilograms of muscle on a buffalo. It can be quite damaging to a lion. There's actually videos that you can watch on YouTube of buffaloes flicking lions in the air. So it's still very wary. They do have a few things to worry about. At this time of the day, a lot of those animals, the buffaloes, they're all lying down. Wildebeest starting to lie down. Giraffe, zebra, all of them starting to lie down. And all these lions just have to worry about other males. Any foreign males intruding on the area. But look at her nose. Very black. Okay, so now we've got a question from Lauren about the young Birmingham male, the one that we all saw last night. She wanted to know, is he still able to hunt with his injury? So Lauren, he has healed a lot. He has healed a lot. Myself and OD did see him walking yesterday. And he still has a very slight limp, but it improved like 95%. So, yes, he can hunt with the injury. It is going to slow him down, and it is going to make it a bit harder, but he will definitely be able to do it. You know, the sprint will be a challenge. If he can catch it, if he can get a paw on the animal, then it's about strength, it's about weight, just dragging the animal to the ground. And the limp will not impede him in doing that. Once he's caught it, the limp doesn't matter at all. Lauren, is just that catching up, a bit of a yawn. It's just the catching up to the animal that the limp's going to have an effect with. But that's why he's most likely going to see if he can leave the pride with the sort of young white male and his two siblings, because they will be able to catch the animal, and then that young Birmingham male can use his weight and his strength and a bit more of his experience to help them actually kill it. That's why it would be a good venture for him if he can get away with those three. And if you look, we were just talking about the flies. If you look just on her lip, actually, you can see a fly. Oh, there you see, she's trying to lick them. There's actually two of them flying around her mouth. On her lips, we were talking about how they're trying to get to the moisture, and she licks her lips like that. You see, there's actually quite a few. There's 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 of them flying around the nose. And you'll see every now and then she might try and shake them off. Look at that one's going almost in the middle between there. So you see like that. So they are very irritating. Look at the ear twitching a little bit there as the flies move off of her face, or off of her mouth. So they a lot more patient than I would be. I mean, that fly there again is still on the lip, just trying to get a little bit of that moisture. I would have swatted them away a long time ago. She is a lot more patient. Not much you can do, really. You know, you can chase them, but they flies. Everyone knows how irritating they are. They just come back. They just come back. At least they're not going for the ears. You know, the ears got all those little fine hairs where you'll probably find on her lips like that. You'll feel it, but it's like when a fly lands on your palm. You can't really feel them moving around because you don't have too many fine hairs there. But these flies will sort of tickle. If it lands on your arm, it's in all your hairs, and you can feel it, and you brush it away. Where on her lips, not too much hair there, unless it, you know, goes up the top of the lip or the bottom of the lip and gets a whisker or some of those little finer hairs around the actual lips. Alright, so we got a question from Tracy, and Tracy's wanting to know about the ears. And why do they have that fur in the ears? So if Owen zooms in a bit there, I don't know, it's maximum zoom, but you can see, Tracy, a lot of that fur, that hair, is on the outside of the actual ears. It's just sort of at the top and the surrounding part. And that is, you know, when they're hunting, when they're walking, you know, that hair will let them know if anything is going to go into their ears. Similar thing to like your eyelashes, Tracy. So, you know, you put your head into a bush or whatever and it tickles your eyelash, and then you know, you close your eyes automatically. For her in her ear, maybe there's like a stick or something's going in the ear, it will tickle that hair, and then she can sort of move her head. You know, it stops dust going in it, it's like a protection thing. It's a protection thing. The same thing with your eyelashes. It's all for protection, maybe catching little particles, stopping them going into the ear, stopping other flies from just going in there, letting her know about the bushes. You know, okay, tilt my head this way so I don't get stabbed by a branch. Or you'd be surprised. I mean, the uses of all of these things, like their whiskers, are incredibly important. You can see the whiskers there are quite long, and it lets the lion know, am I going to fit through this gap? If it hits the whiskers, no, I'm not going to fit through. Oh, it didn't hit my whiskers, I will fit through.
Beautiful. So we come back to now Bevershoek Dam here. Looks like we got one of the green-backed heron, I think. Feeding, looks like it's hunting. Every time dipping its beak into the water there. It's probably aiming for any movement of a fish. It's actually a very good perch there, the lower branches. There you go. Get a little bit of meal just before dark. You always find them, especially everywhere there's water and all year round. It's winter, summer, you do get them. They have a very short tail, but they're not really big heron. You can see where they're very prehensile, long, sharpening beak they got. But it's well balanced in that dry wood. I haven't seen a croc in this waterhole yet, otherwise I wouldn't worry too much. A lot of time they would hunt for any birds, and all of a sudden see a poor bird like he's been taken from right down by the crocodile, like trying to yawn, going down. So every time there's a movement, it's going to aim for it in that water. As you can see how it looks like it doesn't miss much. Could be a small type of fish that is around here. They can sometimes fly. You see them sometimes perch far from the water, and they don't like always mix with most of the birds because they're so small. If you compare these two, your grey heron or bluff heron, those are a lot big. And this type of small bird like this always been pushed off. They feed on a source of the same food. And they're going to have to give each other space in that case, so everybody have free range or enough space for them to be able to hunt themselves for their own food. But also at night, if it's a full moon, you see them on the edge of the water. So anything like fishes, frogs, small frogs taken up. And move, but very carefully so that there's not much of a movement or near silhouette. Because otherwise the prey species that's just trying to hunt will realize there's something waiting right above them. Go. Many of the time they're big, it's well designed. So we're looking at the very sharpening beak like that, but they don't really disturb to a fish or whatever. They open their beak and they catch it up and they grab it. The fish is so much slippery, so if you were to hold it up, you got to be careful, otherwise you lose it. But for such a bird that they eat fish, their beak is well kind of like very not enough or not a teeth, but they all develop with very much a rough and where they can grab. But a lot of time, if it's enough time, if it's a bigger fish, they have to kill it before they swallow it. And I've seen marable stock where they swallow a catfish alive. Doesn't the visuals look moving around too much? So I'm gonna try and move somewhere else, search for the lamp again. I haven't get a luck yet, and I'm gonna take you to another safari live again while we're doing that.
Well, after the near miss or the missed hunt, another lioness that has come much closer to me appeared. This is a very different one. She is not well fed and not as lactating as the one that tried to run after the wildebeest, but she has been calling hoping that, a lioness will appear here so we can see who will appear. She called a few times. I'm hoping that she can call so you can hear. It wasn't a roar, but it was another low roar. Hear that? Hear that? Yeah, that's a low roar that usually it's a contact call. When a family member is not too far, it can travel up to around 1 kilometer. To us, we might not think it's loud, but for lions, they have very good sense of hearing. That one can travel quite far, and usually they might not answer, but what will happen is they will appear like magicians. She's calling. Don't get up, just stay there. I'm hoping that, maybe another lioness will appear. Maybe the cubs. Who knows? That call travels. And maybe her sisters were looking for her, and now she's here. They might appear. That is the kind of contact call they would use at night after losing one another. They would use that. Apart from that, their eyesight is very, very good. Remember that lion population is under very serious threat. So to see even a lone lioness like this is really a bonus for me this time and date. Their main threat is habitat loss, poaching, and also poisoning. So they are facing lots and lots of, issues. She gonna roar? Yeah, she's just calling. Remember, it's pitch dark. I cannot see my finger if I put it in front of my face. That's how dark it is. But because we are on IR, infrared, we are able to bring you this lioness without disturbing her at all. Usually that calling doesn't go unanswered. So I'm sure I know. Sorry, I did hear the name Alistair, but could you repeat the question? Oh, thank you. Interesting question. Why don't they, interact or attack people in vehicles? Well, when you are there or when you think of coming, you think that is, the worst mistake you'll do to be in a vehicle. But just to take you back, the Masai Mara was, mandated as a game reserve about 70 years ago in 1948. It's a very, very long time. Since then, a lot of animals have seen vehicles. There's always a protocol that you have to follow, a rule of law. The distance, you have to stick to them. You don't approach them when they are walking towards you. You let them approach you, things like that. And this has allowed these animals to get used to vehicles. Of course, every now and then, the guide or we have to behave either to restrict our movements, not to make loud noises, not to put your legs out or to make sudden movement. So when you are there to these rules, for sure they won't attack you. And secondly, this is like the seventh or sixth or seventh generation of different lions that have seen humans. They have seen vehicles, so they have no issues with the vehicles as long as you don't get out. So, there's nothing to worry about being close to them or being, in a vehicle. Our vehicles are very, very open, but due to my experience, I feel very confident being out here and being close to this lioness. Well, I'll stay here. Hopefully a female lioness will turn up, or maybe some cubs. Let's see what's happening somewhere else.
So, all right, guys, just an update. We did a quick loop around there where the cubs went in, and still no sign of them. So I think they're sleeping just like these guys, somewhere in between the rocks on that rocky outcrop. But you know how there's always, for those of you who have siblings, always the one in the group that sleeps like a sea star. This one, now that she's hearing me talk about it, now she pulls in her paws. But there we go. That's what I wanted. So, always that one that doesn't necessarily know the personal boundaries, or sleeps like takes up all the space. It does seem like this one is now more in the mood for slightly starting to wake up, finished sleeping, getting the other sibling just to... it's just too funny. Getting the other sibling just to start waking up, trying to irritate her a little bit. But yeah, guys, I mean, it's really cute how they hugging each other almost at the moment. So as you can see now, all three of them have joined behind this little raisin bush. It is considerably cooler, so I'm hoping. So Butterfly just had a question. Do male lions sleep more than the lionesses? Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't think it's dependent on male or female. I think you'll find that different individuals will sleep more or less being in different environments. If you find lions in a more cooler environment, like let's say our lions during wintertime, will be far more active because it's nice and cool than during summer. During wintertime, it's cold during the night, it's cold during the day. There's no real energy loss because of the heat, so they can afford to spend more time moving. Whereas during summer, they sleep a lot more. Males, when the females are out hunting, the males are out patrolling territory. So they sometimes cover greater distances in the times that they do actually move or are active. So if they do sleep, then I suppose they are maybe a little bit more tired. So they can maybe sleep longer. However, I'm of the opinion that it's not necessarily a gender-based thing. It's more an individual thing and an environmental thing. Whenever the situation calls for it, you'll find them being more or less active. So yeah, I don't think there's a difference between males and females as far as the amount of sleeping that is concerned. Both are active in their own way and at their own times, but they are, on both sides of the gender, relatively inactive for more or less about 20 hours a day. Not necessarily always sleeping, but just lying and, cuddling or cleaning themselves or things like that. Not mobile. I'm just loving this cuddling session. But yeah, it's time for them to wake up now. So it is, like I said, considerably cooler. The breeze is even cooler as well. And you can see we're starting to get that almost a reddish shine to this sunlight that's coming, almost an orangey glow. So it's time for them to wake up now, even if it's just for them to look at the sunset. which is not close yet, but I mean, I'll give them any reason now to wake up. And guys, just to come back to, come back to them getting active. As soon as they do, we're going to come back here and we'll show you guys. But for now, we're going to send you off to another location, okay?
Okay, you just saw her put her head down. There started to be some activity, so this little one actually got up and moved to get a bit closer to her mother. And while that was happening, we actually heard another lion roaring, but quite far away. I'd say off of our eastern boundary. So it could be the rest of the Birmingham Pride that we're calling, or a male. We just heard it very, very, very softly, though. And the big female here, she didn't wake up. But the youngster did get up and listen and look, and then come across here and join up. But you're seeing a lot more activity now. You can see that little one constantly moving her head, trying to get in a comfortable position, trying to figure out, where she wants to sit. And we did have a very quick glance at her head, where that injury that I told you about was, and uncertain what it is. It's like a big circle of no fur. So that's the reason why I think it was a cyst that just popped. But then, like, in the center of the circle, there's a big hole. Like it looks fairly deep hole into her head. So, a cyst wouldn't necessarily do that. It looks more like I said earlier, like a bite or a claw mark. So Rowan was here now as well, and he thinks they were at a carcass, and she got hit. Got a paw swipe. Oh, look at that. Just suddenly, from completely flat to just up and alert. Get the ears moving. She can probably hear a lion. Probably hear another lion calling. And up trying to figure out where it is, how far it is, possibly even who it is. And it's incredible how from sort of fast asleep, not moving for 40 minutes, to just up and fully alert and ready to go in an instant. So Louis, that is a bit of a tricky question. So Louis's question was, how did these two lions get separated from their pride? Louis, I don't know. I'm not sure. I wasn't there when it happened. Sorry, we might need to move. I wasn't there when it happened, Louis, so I'm not sure how they got separated. Potentially at night, maybe they were trying to hunt, or they just took different paths, thinking they would join up, and they just haven't. It's not uncommon, Louis. It's not uncommon. Quite often, a pride will break up, especially a pride of the size. You got 16 lions, not including the Ross males. Some of them will just be lazy, and they will sleep while the rest of them walk. And then they will get separated. So it just depends on the situation. As I said, I wasn't there. I didn't see exactly what happened or how it happened. But I would imagine this one, apparently she's got a bit of a limp. I haven't seen her walk, but apparently this big female here has got a bit of a limp. So perhaps that limp made her slow down and she took a rest, and the rest of the pride just carried on going, and she never managed to catch up, and she just lost them. It does happen, especially with older lionesses like this. The pride will actually start to shun them a little bit, because now they're not really an asset to the pride anymore. And so the pride will actually shun them, keep them away from food. When they walk away, just keep them away and not wait for them, and just keep going. So it's not uncommon. She is 14, 15 years old. She is starting to be weak. She's starting to be more of a burden then sort of asset to the pride. If she does join up with them, they'll still be very happy to see her. They'll still greet her. They'll still sort of accept her into the pride, especially if they're just sort of sleeping, relaxing, waiting. It's perfectly fine. But, we just have to wait and see if they do call and they do try and join up.
Well, my lioness is still in the same place. Looks like the first low roar she didn't make an impact. She increased it slightly and it didn't make an impact. Nobody turned up, nobody answered, and just like 1 minute ago she just let it go, and there was the biggest roar she has done. I hope she's going to do it again so you can experience it. It is one of the loudest roars from this size female that I've had in a long time. It was just awesome. I hope it can happen right now once again, but looks like she is getting desperate. She is looking either sides. She is listening for any answer from her sisters. They could be very close. They could be ignoring her, because that's what I think. They're not very far. Normally, this is where I've come in the last 2 weeks, and they've always been disappearing in that long elephant grass. So I'm sure they're listening to her, and I don't know for what reason they're not answering her. Seems like either she's one that hasn't been with them for quite a while, and when the first female walked, she crossed the river, and when she arrived here, this girl didn't cross the river, so she lost the scent. Remember, they usually pee on the ground or urinate on the ground, then they'll rub their legs or their paws onto that urine, so that when they move, they leave a scent that tells everybody, I'm in this direction, I'm headed this way. And so let's see if she's gonna roar. There we go. Not yet. That wasn't what she let go before. She just dropped a tone. It was much louder than that. I'm hoping she can let it all out before, either they appear or before she decides to move on. But that wasn't the loudest. They can be louder than that. Remember that roaring is a contact call telling different members of the pride, which direction she is. They desperately need to see one another. Sometimes when things become tough and, lioness is all by herself, she needs, backup to go hunting. She will roar like that to attract the other members of her pride. Also, to warn intruders into this territory that are coming to this territory, that this territory is already taken. They will roar, and that roar travels 3 to 5 kilometers depending if you're downwind or not. Remember that she can see clearly in the pitch dark, and that's why she's very focused. She's looking, she's listening to see if she can see any movement. I'm still very optimistic and hoping that, maybe a cub, maybe a lioness will just appear. That would be so, amazing. Remember to talk to us, #WildEarth. Questions, comments are really, really welcome. Laura Mo, Jumbo, you said that was a ladylike roar. yes, you'd think that, it would be a lady, but for a lady here, a lady lioness, she can let a much louder one than that one. But yes, I see what you mean. Yeah, that's a ladylike. Yes, definitely. But lions can let a much louder one than that one. Actually, if you're not, you've never had a lion roar, you'll never differentiate between female and male. But yeah, I can. And for a female, the one that she let, yes, it was ladylike, but they can do it a much louder one. Yeah, neon, 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 neon. Nice. Yeah, getting restless. She might wake up and move, go look for the rest of company of the pride. Looks like she's picking up a scent. Remember, the sense of smell, smell is a really, really good. Lifting the nose like that, she can pick up a smell maybe even a mile away, and she can head that direction. Well, I've got to stick here a little bit. I don't know if she's gonna roar. No. Yeah, look, I'm gonna stay here for a little bit, see what's gonna happen.
Alrighty guys, so as you can see, we are awake and moving. I'm hoping that they are going to find something. They're looking straight into the wind now, so it would seem like they have picked up the scent of something, or heard something or something like that. I'm not sure, but all facing in the same direction constantly. You can see the ears are moving. That one is being very charming, but now that she's finished, now you'll see they're all pointing in the same direction. So it could be that they just picked up a scent or a a silly noise or something like that, and it's definitely drawn their attention because they all sort of jumped up at the same time. Shame. You could see how they're busy scratching themselves. You can see all those black dots on their neck. Those are louse flies. So Marty just had a question, are there a lot of water pools for the lions in Tswalu? Marty, not so much. However, sufficient enough for them to survive. So being the Kalahari, obviously it is more of an arid environment, so there's not a lot of water pools or water holes. However, within, let's think about the Southern Pride's territory. Within their territory, they've got about, I want to say 4 water holes that comprise their territory. So that's plenty of room for them. You know, with the Kalahari lions, they quite often travel great distances during the night. So easily up to even 40 kilometers in an evening. So walking for them is not a problem. They can do so quite easily. So to walk from one waterhole to the next in one night is peanuts for them. So on that note, you know, to answer your question, they do have enough water pools. Because they are adapted to this type of environment, and because of it being the Kalahari, they are used to water not being as abundant. So they've learned how to live with that, or to survive for that matter. But yeah, just great to see them up and going. But yeah, guys, unfortunately, it has come to that part of the afternoon again, where we are going to have to say until the next time. Don't like saying goodbye. But yeah, beautiful that they have woken up. And just to, give you a little bit of a show, before we had to go away. But please remember to come and tune in on us on channel 183 on DSTV tomorrow morning, or follow us on YouTube or Twitter. It's been a lovely afternoon, and we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow again at 5:30. Kyle is going to be doing the drive from tomorrow for a couple of days, so he's going to come and say hello to you tomorrow morning. We'll see you again soon, okay? Good night, guys.
My favorite bird has to be the sociable weaver. The enormous nest that they create, their survival tactics to inhabit these harsh and unforgiving environments, and as well as their complex social arrangements, is truly remarkable. And the interconnectedness with the ecosystem shows us that we are too. Join me on my next adventure with WildEarth in the African wild on channel 183 DSTV.